In Irving, Texas, the kick sails down toward the middle. Manfred Moore comes under it at the 8, back to the 10, the 15, and the 20. Just the outside of the 25, the 30, 35, and bang down at about the 37-yard line. Down to get him was Mike Hegman, reserve linebacker, and a 29-yard return. And they'll put it in play around the Viking 37, 38-yard line.
Pretty good field position now for the Vikings. Of course, they want to keep the ball, as we said at the top of the show, away from that explosive Dallas offense, number 1 in the NFC.
First down, Vikings. They're wearing the dark jersey. Ahmad Rashad comes out to the right side. Sammy White comes into the right slot. They split behind Bob Lee. Tight end Stu Voigt's on the left. Running backs, Chuck Foreman takes the handoff, counters to the right side, hit at the 40 and down at the 40-yard line. Ed Too Tall Jones, the big defensive end, along with the help of Benny Barnes, the left cornerback, coming up to knock him down. They got a couple of yards out of it. And it'll be second down and about 8 yards to go for Minnesota on their own 40. Sammy White and Ahmad Rashad, the wide receivers. Stu Voigt is the tight end. That defensive front for the Cowboys, Ed Jones, Jethro Pugh, Randy White, and Harvey Martin. Bob Lee brings him out, puts Sammy White wide to the left side, and Ahmad Rashad to the right side. The tight end sets on the right. Or on the left side, I beg your pardon. Back to roll off to the left side to throw is Bob Lee, up and out to the left. And it is broken up by Aaron Kyle, intended for Sammy White. Up at about the Cowboy 45, and Aaron Kyle, the right cornerback out of Wyoming, just about picked it off, got a hand on it, and knocked it down.
And Sammy White had his man beaten down about the 45. Lee was a little slow delivering the pass. Now, I talked with several of the Minnesota coaches in the booth next to us just before we went on the air. They said when Lee goes to the air early in the game, he's going to try to go with misdirection plays and play-action passing, not the drop-back kind of style passer that Staubach is.
Vikings come out. Going out wide to the left side for the Vikings is Bob Graham, who's just come in. They go with 3 wide receivers. Dropping out the tight end, slot left. Back split behind Bob Lee. Gives inside to Bob Miller. Fumbles the ball at about the 39 of the Vikings. And the Cowboys may have come up with it. Harvey Martin, the defensive right end, comes up with a recovery, and Dallas gets the first break of this ball game as they apparently missed on the handoff, Jim Kelly. And Harvey Martin, the defensive right end, came in to fall on it. First down, Dallas at the Viking 39.
All right, Bob, this is an area that very much concerned the Vikings coming into the game. In turnovers, they had turned the ball over 46 times, while the defense had only recovered 28. That's a minus 17. Dallas, on the other hand, is plus 7 in the turnover department. They came up with a big one right there. The first break of the ball game goes to the Dallas Cowboys.
They come out on a double wing, and they put Dorsett, who shifts now back as they split. Newhouse and Dorsett are the running backs behind Staubach. Jay Saldi is a tight end setting outside the tight end. Give inside to Newhouse to the 35 and down to about the 32-yard line. Finally, Fred McNeil, the right linebacker, coming across to get a piece of the action and knock him down at around the 32. That'll bring up second down and about 3 yards to go, and a pickup of about 7. Newhouse had himself a good ball game against the Bears last week. And many people feel primarily because of so much concentration on Tony Dorsett. Golden Richards comes out wide to the left side. Drew Pearson wide right. Billy Joe Dupree is the tight end setting on the right side. The back split behind Staubach. Pearson comes in motion back over to the left side. Staubach fakes the inside give, fakes an outside pass, and throws deep down the left side for Golden Richards. Open, touchdown! From 32 yards out, they fake the inside give, fake the screen off to the left, and Golden Richards was open down the left side for 6.
39 yards in 2 plays. The Cowboys on the board, 6-0. They beat Bobby Bryant. Bryant took the inside fake. Golden Richards turned him around, backed into the end zone, but Bryant was nowhere to be found.
Efrain Herrera in to try for number 7 out of the hold of Danny White, the backup quarterback. All set for the point after try. Snap back, the ball down. The kick is up and partially blocked, but it is no good. Partially blocked it off to the right side. And there's a timeout on the field now with the score. The Cowboys 6 and the Vikings nothing.
When do you say Budweiser? Whenever the moment is right for a great beer. When do you say Budweiser? Whenever the good times are moving to right here. After the work is done, while you're still having fun, anytime's the right time to say it. When do you say Budweiser? Bud the beer for any time at all. When do you when you say Budweiser, the #1 beer, is what you'll be drinking after the work is done. While you're still having fun, the king of beers is waiting for your call. When you say Budweiser, you said it all.
Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis.
So Dallas breaks on top 6-0. A 32-yard touchdown pass from Roger Staubach to Golden Richards, who completely spun around Bobby Bryant about the 8-yard line. All he had to do was catch the pass from Roger back into the end zone for 6 for the Cowboys. The extra point attempt, as Bob described to you, partially blocked. It's a 6-0 Dallas lead. Minnesota, an early mistake, a fumble led to that score, and now the Vikings get a chance to get it back.
They have Manfred Moore back in the middle. As Herrera comes into it, hits it high and fairly deep, and down the middle, Moore comes Everett at the 8, at the 10 to the 15, cuts back to the right at the 20, comes into the 25 to the 30, to the 35, slips across the 40, hit and spun down at about the 43-yard line. Manfred Moore with another good return and could have been even farther, but he slipped for a moment. A return of 35 yards. Randy Hughes, a backup safety man for Dallas, finally knocked him down at the Minnesota 43-yard line. So both times they've had the kickoff, Jim Kelly, they've had pretty good field position from which to open their series of downs, fumbling in their first possession, and they have to get it started here, down 6-0, with 13:09 to go in the first quarter. The Vikings come out slot left with Rashad wide to the left side. Sammy White goes into the left slot. The tight end's on the right. Back split behind Lee. Inside gives to Chuck Foreman across the 45, coming over his own right tackle, gets to around the 46-yard line, and that's as far as he can go. Finally knocked down on the play by Bob Bruning, the middle linebacker out of Arizona State. It's a gain of close to 4 yards. We'll call it a little bit better than 3. Second down at about 7 to go for Minnesota.
And again, keep in mind what the Minnesota coaches told me before the broadcast, that when Lee starts to pass now, a lot of play action passing, a lot of misdirection. That's what the Vikings want to do to spread out the Dallas defense a little bit. Try to negate some of the strength and speed of the front four.
Lee again gives off this time to Robert Miller, the fullback, coming inside, gets a couple of yards to around the 48. Trying to come back over the right side, and really got nothing at all. Maybe a yard, maybe 2 yards. Thomas Henderson there, and knifing underneath was Too Tall Jones. Ed Jones, the defensive left end, bringing up third down, and still about 5 yards to go for Minnesota, just at their own 48-yard line. Stu Voigt has come out of the ball game. They bring in an extra wide receiver. And that is Bob Grimm coming out wide to the right side. Sammy White goes into the right slot. Rashad wide to the left side. Back split behind Bob Lee. Third down and 5 from their own 48-yard line for the Vikings. Back to throw is Lee. Sets and fires up and out to the left, way over the head of Ahmad Rashad. And a hard rush on a blitz coming from Thomas Henderson from the right side. And Henderson, a very swift and tough linebacker from Langston out of the Langston University of Oklahoma, made the play on it and forced Lee to get rid of the ball a bit quicker than he really desired.
He threw the ball away, no question about it. Henderson was on Bob Lee almost before Lee had a chance to set up. No chance at all. He just wisely threw the ball out of bounds, and it's the first punt of the ball game. Neil Clabo back to do the kicking.
Butch Johnson is the single return man as they line him up. 10 across the front. Clabo handles the snap, gets it away from about the 38, hangs it out high and down the middle to Butch Johnson, who's going to field it at his 11-yard line. Once the right side, slips and gets his balance again at the 15, turns it to the 20, and down at about the 20-yard line. Coming down on the stop for Minnesota was Matt Blair, the left linebacker. 41-yard punt, a 9-yard return for Butch Johnson, and the Cowboys will take over near their own 20-yard line.
Limping off under his own power now is Benny Barnes, number 31, cornerback for the Dallas Cowboys, injured on that Neil Clabo punt. Cowboys taking over first down, 10 yards to go at their own 19-yard line, enjoying a 6-0 lead. 32-yard touchdown pass, Roger Staubach to Golden Richards. Reminder to join CBS Radio Sports for the Cotton Bowl from Dallas, Texas. Tomorrow, that's January the 2nd, Connie Alexander and Tom Hedrick will be on hand as the Longhorns of Texas, ranked number 1, take on the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame in the Cotton Bowl. That's tomorrow here on CBS.
Cowboys on their own 19, first down. Staubach gives off to Newhouse, hit at the 20, goes to about the 21. Jeff Seaman, the middle linebacker, got to him first, may have gotten a couple of yards around the 21, coming over his own left side. They went with a double tight end set with Saldi and Dupree.
And the Cowboys feel that they can run against the Vikings. Minnesota, as you know, over the season, you have been able to run against Minnesota. It's an older team. They like to trap Alan Page, take advantage of his quickness, the fact he jumps off the ball so quickly. They want to try to trap Page, work that side a little bit.
They got about 2.5 yards. That'll be second down, close to 7 to go. Coming out wide to the left side is Drew Pearson, and wide to the right is Golden Richards. They shift into the eye behind Staubach. Dupree is tight on the left side. Second down, 7. Staubach gives on the draw to Dorsett. Turns it to the outside of the 20, 25. Out to about the 27-yard line goes Tony Dorsett. He will miss the first down yardage. Jeff Seaman again, the middle linebacker out of Stanford, making the stop for the Minnesota Vikings. They will come up a couple of yards shy of the first down, bringing up third down and about 2.
And it was Matt Blair, number 59. One of the linebackers for the Vikings that had Dorsett trapped in the backfield, couldn't hang on, but then I don't think there's too many people who can stay with Tony Dorsett, Bob, one-on-one.
He's already made his mark as an outstanding back and due to be even greater than that, 1,000+ yards gained, and playing as a regular really only about half the season. Third down, and a little bit better than a yard to go. Butch Johnson wide right, Pearson coming out wide to the left side. Back split behind Staubach, who goes back to throw on third down at about a yard. He's going to scramble. Needs some room. He's going to be hit by Seaman around the 28-yard line. I don't think he's going to make the first down out of it. Seaman, the middle linebacker, again stopping him shy of the first down, and now the Cowboys will have to kick it out of there.
And that's just a case of being at the right spot at the right time. Seaman was blocked to the spot Roger elected to run to, and I don't think anybody was more surprised to see Staubach coming at him than Seaman was.
The play looked like it was really designed that way. He really never put an arm up to get a pass away, and it was almost designed as a quarterback draw. Manfred Moore back in single safety. Danny White in to do the punting. He stands back at his 13-yard line to take the snap. He'll get it away from around the 18-yard line. Handles a good snap, steps into it, hangs it out end over end down around the 45, bounds at the 40, and around the 41-yard line of Minnesota. It goes out of bounds. No return by Manfred Moore. So the Vikings get their hands on the ball again. A 30-yard punt by Danny White.
And he was under some pressure. Nate Allen, who blocked the punt last year in the Rams-Vikings game up at Bloomington that set up the first Minnesota touchdown, almost got that punt off the foot of Danny White. With the score, the Cowboys 6, the Vikings nothing. We've got a timeout on the field. We'll be back after this. Wasn't a big word.
I would imagine he will. Mark Washington has taken over at that left corner spot. Bob Lee brings the Vikings out. Wide to the right side is Sammy White. Rashad to the left side. Backs offset strong left behind Lee. Takes the give inside and goes back to throw on first down. Has time. Fires up and out to the right. Intended for Sammy White. Covered by Mark Washington. The ball too high. And it'll bring up second down and 10 from their own 41-yard line for Minnesota.
And there's a case where I think Lee tried to force the ball a little bit. White had double coverage on him. The open man in the flat down to the 50-yard line coming out of the backfield was Bob Miller, number 35. He was wide open, and Miller's going back and reporting the same to Bob Lee right now.
They wasted no time on working on the new guy who just came in, and Mark Washington, the left cornerback. Second and 10 for Minnesota. On their own 41. White is wide left. Rashad comes to the right side. Voigt is the tight end to the left side. They give to Foreman. Hits over his own right tackle. Hit after a gain of a couple of 3 to around the 44-yard line. And gang tackle down. Ed Too Tall Jones, the defensive left end, who had himself a very fine game against Chicago last week, makes the stop here. They'll mark it around the 44. It'll be a gain of a couple. Third down, 8 yards to go for Minnesota on their own 44. The Vikings are 0 for 2 in third down conversions. They bring in Bob Grimm, and they'll go with 3 wide receivers in a third and long situation from their own 44-yard line. Rashad goes wide left. They go slot right with Sammy White in the slot. The wide man to the right side is Bob Grimm with the backs split behind Bob Lee. Third down and 8 from their own 44. Lee drifts out to the right to throw a quick pop off to Foreman to the 50. Dives out to around the 47-yard line of Dallas and picks up the first down. Cliff Harris coming up from the safety spot to get a hit on him, but he picks up the first down, and the first of the afternoon for the Minnesota Vikings as they get into Cowboy territory.
And that's a big first down for the Vikings now, Bob. They've enjoyed pretty good field position early on. The opening kickoff, they took over first and 10 at the 37, coughed up the ball. That led to the Dallas score. This drive started on the 41. Minnesota needs a couple of points.
They like to get the ball to Foreman, whether it's from the handoff or throwing. He becomes a very integral part of their success. Wide to the right is Sammy White. Rashad to the left. They give to Bob Miller, countering to the right side. Hits to about the 44-yard line of Dallas. Stacked up Tom Henderson, the linebacker, diving underneath to help stack it up. Bob Bruning, the middle linebacker, coming in on the stop also. And getting off the pile is Too Tall Jones, the defensive left end for the Cowboys. A gain of about 3 yards. Second down and 7 at the Dallas 44 for Minnesota. Vikings come out with Sammy White wide to the left side. Rashad coming out wide right. Stu Boyd is the tight end, setting on the left side. The backs offset strong right behind Bob Lee. On 2nd down and 7. Give to Foreman. Slants over the left side to around the 45-yard line. Hit there by Charlie Waters coming up from the secondary. Also on the play, Tom Henderson, the linebacker. It is near the 40-yard line. It will leave Minnesota with a 3rd down and about 3 yards to go. The Cowboys come in with their nickel defense. They bring in Bill Gregory in the defensive line. Randy Hughes comes into play in the secondary, along with Mel Renfro, the veteran defensive back. Bob Lee brings the Vikings out. Wide to the left, Rashad, who has been their primary receiver. Wide to the right side, White. The give inside to Foreman. Breaks it inside the 40 to the 34-yard line. Hit there by Cliff Harris coming up from the safety spot, and it's another 1st down for the Vikings. They started this drive back on their own 42-yard line. After forcing the Cowboys to punt, they're now down to the 34 of Dallas. With 6:24 to go in the first period, the Cowboys out in front 6-0.
Ed White, Ron Yeri over on the right side opened up that hole for Foreman. It's the 2nd Minnesota 1st down of the ball game.
Foreman's carried 5 times, 18 yards. Back to throw to the right side is Bob Lee. Fires up and to the right. It is almost picked off. Incomplete, intended for Sammy White. Thrown over the cornerback coming up. White had gotten between Mark Washington, the cornerback, and Charlie Waters, the safety. And Waters just about had a shot at it on the sideline. It went out of bounds. It'll bring up 2nd down and 10 at the Dallas 34 for Minnesota.
And again, Bob Lee seems to be forcing the ball to Sammy White. All alone over the left side, down about the 20-yard line, was Ahmad Rashad. For some reason, he's looking only to Sammy White. White hadn't even turned around yet to look for that football.
Bob Lee brings the Vikings out, puts Stu Voigt, the tight end, on the left side, lines the backs at an eye behind him, goes slot right with White in the slot, Rashad wide to the right. 2nd and 10 at the Dallas 34. Lee fakes the give to the tailback. Back to throw again to the right side. Intended for Sammy White again, and it's incomplete. That time it was Ahmad Rashad for whom the ball was intended. Covering was Mark Washington, the left cornerback. And it'll be 3rd down and 10 now for Minnesota at the Dallas 34.
Just a simple down and out for Rashad. He made his move about the 20-yard line, slipped and fell right there. Really, the Vikings were lucky that that pass wasn't picked off because Rashad was down on the artificial surface.
Benny Barnes is back in there now. He comes in with the nickel defense, Randy Hughes and Bill Gregory. 3rd and 10 at the Dallas 34 for Minnesota. They put together a couple of 1st downs in this drive and now have a 3rd and long facing them at the Dallas 34-yard line. Wide to the left side. Here's Rashad. Slot right with White in the slot. Grimm wide right. Backs offset strong left. Lee back to throw on 3rd and 10. Has a little time. Fires up and over the middle. Incomplete to Robert Miller. Coming up over the middle, covered by Charlie Waters at the 25. So they fail to convert on the 3rd down situation. And faced with a punting situation again in Dallas territory as Neil Clabo comes on.
Well, let's check the book on Bob Lee right now. He's 1 for 7 in the passing department. His longest is 9 yards. They needed 10 big ones there to pick up the 1st down. They missed. Neil Clabo in to do the booting once again. Now, I talked with the Minnesota coaches about Bob Lee and about Tommy Kramer. Of course, some of the Minnesota fans were hoping that Tommy Kramer might see some action. We'll pick up on that in a second.
Clabo handles the snap, angles for the near sideline, drives it out of there, and it is going to go out of bounds around the 10, maybe the 11-yard line. They'll mark it at the 11. Let's pause 5 seconds for stations to identify themselves on the CBS Radio Network.
Sherman Kaplan reviews fine dining here on News Radio 78, WBDM, Chicago.
We're talking about what the Minnesota coaches told me before the football game about whether or not Bud Grant would switch from Bob Lee if he was ineffective in passing, which he has been so far. Of course, a lot of that has been the Dallas secondary, but as we have pointed out, it seems that he's forcing the ball a little bit to Sammy White. I asked him, would they switch if they fell behind early and go with Tommy Kramer? They said no, they didn't think so unless the score were about 21-0. Well, it's not that yet. It is 6-0 on the strength of a Roger Staubach to Golden Richards pass. 6-0. The extra point was partially blocked.
Dallas with a 1st down on their own 11-yard line. Leading here 6-0. We have 5:52 to play, 1st quarter. Golden Richards comes out of the Dallas huddle, coming out to the left side. Wide to the right goes Drew Pearson. They go with a slot on the left side and shift out of it as Dorsett moves back and Richards splits out. Back split down behind Roger Staubach. Pearson comes in motion back to the left side. Staubach on the long count. 1st down, give inside to Dorsett. Tries to turn it to the onside, gets a couple of yards to around the 13. Tried to hit off his own right tackle first, then slipped it to the outside. Fred McNeil coming over on the stop, the right linebacker for Minnesota. They got it out just beyond the 13-yard line. It'll be a 2nd down, and still the better part of 7 yards to go for the 1st down for Second and long situation. They have Butch Johnson in, coming into the left slot. Wide to the left side goes Pearson. Tight end sets on the right. That's Billy Joe Dupree. Backs off set to the right. Give on the pitch back to Newhouse. Hit behind the line. Gets free of that. Scrambles back to around the 14-yard line. And wound up turning what looked like a loss into a very, very short gain. But not much at all as he got it to around the 15. Doug Sutherland, the defensive left tackle, drifting out on the play. Getting help coming up out of the secondary for Minnesota was Nate Wright, the left cornerback. They'll mark it just beyond the 15, leaving Dallas with a third down and about 6 yards to go. Dallas, since their opening drive and scoring on the 32-yard pass play in their last two possessions, not as effective as they were in the first one. They go to the shotgun as Staubach sets back into the tailback spot. On a third down and 6, back to throw and sets it to 5, up and out to the right side, intended for Dorsett. Had nothing on the ball. Looked like a poor pass as it went out of bounds up around the 25-yard line. So again, Dallas forced to kick it out of there.
And so give credit to the Minnesota defense. Once again, they have thwarted the Cowboys' effort, except for that first turnover, Bob Starr. I think the game's been fairly even up and down the field.
And really, Minnesota has had good field position from which to work on the opening kickoff, on the kickoff after the touchdown, and on one other punt. And now they stand a good chance of having good field position here. Manfred Moore back in single safety. Danny White stands at the goal line to take the snap, handles it, steps into it, a hard rush on. He got it away, angles it out of there, coming down to Manfred Moore, and takes the fair catch at the Dallas 48-yard line. And again, the Vikings take over, and again, they have good field position.
And I'm watching Danny White as he trots off the field about the 30-yard line. He gives a double take to Nate Allen. He can't believe it himself, I think, Bob, that Nate Allen didn't get a piece of that pigskin. Allen shooting in from the left side almost blocked another punt. White just shook his head as he trotted off the field. A 33-yard punt for Danny White. And the Vikings again in good field position. This time the drive starts on the Dallas 48.
First down, Vikings. Wide to the left side is Richard. To the right is Sammy White. A give on the counter inside to Robert Miller. Spins off a man to the 45 and falls right about the 45-yard line. Robert Miller, running back out of Kansas. Tom Henderson, the linebacker, made the stop on it. Miller replacing the injured Brent McClanahan, who has undergone knee surgery. So it'll be a gain of about 3. Second down and 7 to go, just inside the Dallas 45 for Minnesota. Vikings come out, slot left, Sammy White. Wide to the left is Rashad. Back split. Boyd tight on the right side. Give inside to McClanahan to Foreman, a fumble on the play as he was hit by Too Tall Jones. A loose ball around the 45, and was there a fumble and was there a recovery? And it is. Dallas recovered. He was really mashed as soon as he got the handoff.
And it's Harvey Martin, number 79, getting up off the bottom of the pile. Foreman hit immediately by number 72, Ed Too Tall Jones, and Harvey Martin just pounced on it. So that's the second Minnesota turnover. Again, they were minus 17 in turnovers coming in. Dallas plus 7 in the takeaway department. And the last time, the Cowboys went on to score 2 plays after they recovered a fumble. Let's see what Roger and company do now.
They shift to backs on split, go with the wingman on the right side. Pearson wide to the left side. First down at their own 45. Inside give to Newhouse. Comes over his own left tackle. It's to around the 48-yard line, but no more than that. Matt Blair and Jeff Seaman combine on the stop along with Jim Marshall, the defensive right end. It's a gain of about 3 yards to around the 48. Second fumble recovery of the day for Harvey Martin.
Contrasting the Vikings' offensive performance against last Monday's win against the L.A. Rams, Bob Lee 5 for 5 in passing last week, and the Vikings had no turnovers in the rain and the quagmire out in Los Angeles. Today, Lee is 1 for 10 in passing, and the Vikings have 2 fumbles.
Pearson comes in motion off the wide spot to the right, comes back in motion to the left, Starr back out to throw into the right flat, hits off to Newhouse, hit at the 49, gets to about the 48. Matt Blair, the left linebacker out of Iowa State, wrapped him up at around the 47-yard line of Minnesota. They will be shy of a first down by a couple of yards, bringing up a third down and about 2. Newhouse, 4 carries from scrimmage for 13 yards. Dorsett, 2 for 8 yards so far. Third down and about 2 to go for Dallas, just shy of the 47-yard line of the Minnesota Vikings. Dallas out in front, 6-0. We're in the first quarter, 2 minutes and 25 seconds to play in this first period. Dallas coming out with Butch Johnson, coming out to set on the left wing. They go with a double tight end set. Backs offset strong left behind Staubach. 3rd and 2 at the Minnesota 47. Give to Dorsett. Comes to the right side. and did not make the first down. Hit it about the 46-yard line as he tried to counter it back to the right side and could not get anywhere. Jeff Seaman, the middle linebacker, jumping in there to help out the middle of the defensive line. Page and Sutherland and Carl Eller all on the stop. And it will bring up a punting situation for the Dallas Cowboys. A fourth down and about a yard to go as Danny White comes off the Cowboy bench to do the punting.
And the Cowboy fans wanted Tom Landry and company to go for it. Staubach stood out there for a little while, and it looked as if Roger might have some inclination to go for it. But, of course, Tom Landry, the head coach, says, no, let's kick it away.
They run three men deep now. Manfred Moore in the middle on his right is Bob Grimm, and Joe Blaha is wide to the left side as a deep man flanking Manfred Moore. Danny White is going to angle toward his right sideline, hangs it out toward Blaha, but Manfred Moore calls for the fair catch and takes it at about the 12-yard line. So Minnesota will open this series of downs from around their 12-yard line with 1:30 to go in this first quarter, and the Cowboys out in front 6-0.
And this is the worst field position the Minnesota Vikings have had. They can ill afford one of the two fumbles they've had here down on the 12-yard line. So the Vikings take over. We'll see what Bob Lee can do now on offense. The offense has got to give the defense some help. I don't think the defense has played that poorly in the first quarter. It's been the two Minnesota fumbles that have set up what has been the only score of the ball game, that first Dallas touchdown.
They come out with White wide to the right side. Rashad wide left. Boyd is tight on the right. Give to Foreman, countering over the left side, and hit immediately by Randy White. May have spun for about a yard. But Randy White, the defensive right tackle, stacked him up. He spun off that, got maybe a yard to around the 13, but no more than that. And a second down and 9 for Minnesota. And the defensive line of the Dallas Cowboys has been firing off the ball, especially Ed Jones, the defensive left end, has had himself a good first quarter of play.
He's getting in that Minnesota backfield almost as quickly as the football is.
Vikings come out slot right with Sammy White in the slot. Rashad White to the right side. Now out of the slot goes White back in motion to the left side. Give to Foreman, slamming over to the right side. Gets across the 15 to around the 17-yard line. Got about 4 yards on it. Bob Bruning, the middle linebacker, wrapped him up for the Dallas Cowboys. They'll mark it at the 17 and leave Minnesota still with a 3rd down and 5 situation from their own 17-yard line.
So here's where Bob Lee has to be careful now. 3rd down, about 6 yards to go. 3rd down conversions, Lee is 1 for 4. In the passing department so far, he is still 1 for 7. The longest completion has been to 9 yards. Let's see what Lee does now on 3rd down.
They're 1 for 4 in 3rd down conversions. Rashad wide right, White to the left side. They give to Foreman, wants to turn the right corner. Gets to the 17, the line of scrimmage, and no more. Bob Bruning, the middle linebacker out of Arizona State for the Cowboys, wrapped him up for virtually no gain on the play and forces Minnesota to kick it out of there again.
And you get the feeling that there is momentum building now on the part of this Cowboy defensive unit. They know that to this point in the game, they have shut out the Minnesota offense in its entirety. That's the end of the first quarter with the score, the Dallas Cowboys 6 and the Minnesota Vikings nothing. Down below us in the Vikings bench, we can see Bob Lee on the telephone to the gentleman in the booth directly to our right, the Minnesota coaching staff, trying to impart some words of wisdom. They need some offensive movement to get things turned around here. They're backed up now deep in their own territory. 4th down situation. Neil Clabo about to come in and punt again. Clabo has 2 punts so far in the ball game, averaging 32 yards for those 2 punts. He needs a boomer here to get them out of the Viking territory. And a note in that the 2 fumble recoveries so far, Bob, by Harvey Martin ties an NFC record for the most fumbles recovered in one game. Good for Dallas, bad for Minnesota.
Minnesota ready to punt. Clabo handles the step, hangs it out of there, down the middle to Bush Johnson at the 50, comes back to the 45, turns it to the outside of the 47 and hit and down at about the 47, 48-yard line. 38-yard punt, 4-yard return, and it'll be at the 47-yard line of the Minnesota Vikings, where Dallas will put it in play.
And that was a good play by Matt Blair, number 59. He caught Johnson around the ankles. Otherwise, if Bush was able to turn the corner because he caught the punt in full flight, he had a wall of blockers set up at about the Minnesota 40-yard line.
At the 47, Dallas comes out. Wide to the left side, Pearson. Into the left slot goes Gold and Richards. The back shift back. Strong right behind Staubach. Dupree is tight on the right side. In motion out of there comes Newhouse to the right side. Quick pitch off to Dorsett, trying to turn the right corner. Needs some help. Being hit, gets by one guy and goes out of bounds around the 46, 47-yard line. Very little gain at all on the play. Matt Blair, the left linebacker, coming up to force it to the outside and force it out of bounds. They got virtually nothing on the play. It'll be second down and still about 10 yards to go. Second down and about 10 to go at the 47 of Minnesota. Dallas out. Butch Johnson now in as a wide receiver to the left side. Wide to the right comes Drew Pearson. Dupree is tied on the right, back split behind Staubach on 2nd and 10. Pearson back in motion to the left side. Staubach wheels out and gives off to Dorsett, trying the right side again. Turns to the 45, slips and dives inside the 45 to around the 43-yard line. Fred McNeil, a linebacker from the right side, coming over, along with the help of the left cornerback coming up on the stop. And that was Nate Wright. It'll be a gain of about 3 yards, and third down and 7. Facing the Dallas Cowboys, just inside the 44-yard line of Minnesota. Dallas 0 for 3 in third down conversions. We're in the second quarter, 14-10 to play. In this first half, 6-0 Dallas lead. They go slot right with Richards in the slot, Pearson wide right. Go into the shotgun formation as Staubach sets as the tailback takes the snap, drops back to throw, has some time, fires up and out to the right side, and trying to come back for the ball was Drew Pearson, who slipped and fell, and the ball falls incomplete. So the footing out here, they've had some rain in the Dallas area in the last 3 or 4 days. Not heavy rains, but enough to moisten things, and there are some slippery spots on this field.
The Dallas fans, of course, are screaming for pass interference, but Pearson just fell down at about the 25-yard line. We've got a big commotion down in the stands directly below us as Dallas goes back into punt formation.
Manfred Moore is back in the middle, flanked by Bob Grimm and Joe Blahak. Danny White takes the snap, going to fake it now. He's going to run it to the 45, to the 40, to the 35, 30, and out of bounds around the 28-yard line as they fake the punt. And Danny White ran it for the first down to around the 28-yard line of the Minnesota Vikings.
And Bob, he was taken off the whole time. There was no question about it. The wall of blockers set up over on the right side. He was angling for the sideline, trying to get down and pick up more than enough for the first down. The Cowboys on the move.
At the 29-yard line, a Minnesota first down for Dallas. They go with a double tight end set. Jay Saldi is the tight end on the right, Dupree tight on the left, with the wing on the right side. That is Drew Pearson out of the wing off the right. Goes Pearson back in motion to the left side. Give to the tailback Dorsett into the middle. To the 25, to the 20, down to the 16-yard line goes Tony Dorsett. Finally dropped by Paul Krause, coming up from the strong safety. And it's another first down and down to about the 16-yard line. And a gain of 13 yards by Tony Dorsett. A bit of a delay on the draw. And he carries to the 16-yard line.
And that's the biggest rushing play from scrimmage for either team so far in the ball game. Dorsett ripping for another Cowboy first down. Tony now has 6 carries, a total of 25 yards. And the Cowboys threatening to blow it open here early in the second quarter.
They shift into an eye behind Staubach. Wide to the left side, Butch Johnson. Give off to Newhouse. Last to the right side, inside the 15 to around the Minnesota 13-yard line. Nate Wright, the left cornerback, came in to force it. And then Matt Blair coming up to help out along with Doug Sutherland, who made the final stop at about the 13. It'll be a gain of about 3 and second down and 7. Second down and about 7 yards to go at the Minnesota 13-yard line for Dallas. Billy Joe Dupree is the tight end setting on the left side. They go with Jay Saldi, the tight end setting on the right. They put Drew Pearson wide to the right side. I formation behind Staubach. On second down and 7 at the 13 of Minnesota. Into the middle goes Dorsett inside to about the 10. Got about 3. Jeff Seaman, the middle linebacker, coming up on the stop, and knifing underneath was Alan Page, the defensive right tackle, along with Doug Sutherland, the defensive left tackle for Minnesota. It'll be right at the 10-yard line, and it will leave Dallas with a third down and about 4 to go.
Maybe it's a little bit early in the ball game to be talking about a crucial third down situation with so much time remaining, but this is a big defensive play for the Minnesota Vikings right here. They would like to stop the Cowboys, shut them off, give up only the field goal rather than a touchdown.
Third down and 4 at the 10. Pearson wide left, Golden Richards wide right, back split, back to throw a Staubach, looking to the left side. Now into the middle, fires into the middle, and incomplete, and a flag is thrown, intended for Billy Joe Dupree. And Paul Krause may have been caught holding Billy Joe Dupree in the end zone. We'll see what the call is.
don't see how it could be anything but holding. Krause spun him around in the end zone, was holding on almost two hands. And it'll be a first down and goal to go for the Cowboys now. They already lead at 6-0. Staubach, just a straight drop back, had plenty of time. Actually, Dupree was the second look. Staubach firing over the middle. Krause had spun Dupree around, and Staubach just threw it away. But, of course, the flag was already thrown, so it's first down at the 5.
First and goal to go for the Cowboys of the Minnesota 5. 11:45 to play in this first half. Dallas out in front, 6-0, and threatening to get another one. They go with a double tight end set. Pearson on the left wing. The backs split now behind Roger Staubach at the 5-yard line of Minnesota. Staubach on the long count inside, give to Newhouse. Bulls his way in for the touchdown. Bob Newhouse in from 5 yards out. He was hit 2 or 3 times, just kept the legs churning. And got in for the score, and Dallas gets another one with 11:41 to play in this first half. As Efrain Herrera comes in to try to add number 13. 46 yards, 8 plays, a penalty involved on the pass interference call, and the fake punt that got him out of the jam and put him at the 29-yard line of Minnesota that kept the drive alive. Charlie Waters to hold. Herrera trying to put number 13 on the board. All set. Snap back, the ball down. The kick is up, and it is good. With 11:41 to play in the first half, there's a timeout here in the second quarter with the score. Dallas 13, Minnesota nothing.
Kmart is your savings store, where your dollar buys you more.
Your neighborhood Kmart is the place to save on all your automotive needs, including famous STP oil treatment and new STP gas treatment. Use these leading STP car care products all year and save on both of them at Kmart, your saving place for all your automotive needs.
Kmart is the saving place.
A triple threat man is a big advantage in football, but an office copier that's a triple threat to break down, that's something else. That's why the new Sharp SF730 or Bond copier should be your #1 draft pick. Makes your serviceman a virtual stranger. First, there's no heating element. Second, no developer. And third, no filter bags. And fourth, it copies beautifully. So see for yourself. Check the yellow pages for your Sharp copier dealer and blow the whistle on downtime copiers. 11:41 to go in the first half. The Dallas Cowboys, reminiscent of just about a week ago, in complete control as they were against the Chicago Bears. The Vikings must show some kind of offense at this point.
Manfred Moore back in the middle. Sammy White on his right. Bob Miller up on his left at about the 10-yard line as Herrera gets set to kick off for the Cowboys. From the 35, 13-0, Dallas lead. In this NFC Championship game from Irving, Texas, Herrera comes into the ball, hits it high and not too deep, sailing over towards Sammy White. He takes it at the 11, comes up the right side of the 15 to the 20. White a speedster at the 30, 35, 40, out to the 45, and down to around the 47-yard line. Finally, it was dragged down by Guy Brown. 36-yard return by Sammy White, and he was just a man or so, or a step or so, from breaking it. And I don't think there was anybody on the field, if he got free, that could catch it.
Tom Landry, I think, was thinking of suiting up at that point. He's just shaking his head over on the sidelines. The Cowboys appeared to have good punt coverage, but White just jumped over everybody about the 30-yard line. And again, the Vikings, with the exception of starting off on their own 10-yard line, enjoy good field position, but so far, no points.
They go with Sammy White wide to the right side, Rashad to the left side. Back split behind Bob Lee from the 48 of Minnesota. He rolls out to the right to throw. Looking down deep, throwing high and deep for Sammy White, down around the 8 or 10-yard line, and it is a flag at about the 8-yard line. Covering on the play, Benny Barnes and Charlie Waters, and they combined on the coverage on Sammy White.
Well, you're going to hear some screams about this one because one official, almost as soon as the ball hit the ground, was waving furiously, no interference. White had already turned around. That would be the linesman who was down. White down about the 7-yard line, creamed on the play by Barnes. One official says no interference. The back judge threw it, and so that's the biggest break of the ball game so far for the Minnesota Vikings.
Well, the Vikings get the advantage with a first and goal at the 8-yard line at Dallas. A 44-yard penalty is what it amounts to on the pass interference call. First down and goal to go for Minnesota at the Dallas 8. They come out with Sammy White to the left side. Rashad goes wide right. Tight end sets on the left. Backs off, set strong right behind Bob Lee. Lee gives off to Foreman, fumbles the ball, got it back, and finally hit. Randy White made the stop on him after he was hit initially by the defensive tackle Jethro Pugh. The ball took a bounce right back to him, and he got a yard out of it to the 7, bringing up second down and goal. Right now, the offensive right side of Minnesota is having a bit of difficulty with the defensive left side of the Cowboys. Vikings come out, wide right, Sammy White. The left side is Rashad. I formation. Tight end sets on the right, second and goal at the 7 of Dallas. Bob Lee goes to the tailback Foreman, dances in the middle inside the 5 to about the 4-yard line. Again, Jethro Pugh, the defensive left tackle, got a piece of him along with Harvey Martin, who cracked down for the defensive right end spot, and Randy White, the other defensive tackle. Cliff Harris coming up from the secondary. They'll mark it at the 4, bringing up third down and goal to go for Minnesota at the Cowboy 4-yard line.
And you get the feeling the Vikings at this point are just going to be content to come away with some kind of a score. They're a little bit reluctant to open up. I don't think, Bob, you're going to get too many rushing touchdowns against this Cowboy flex defense. Veterans like Harvey Martin, Jethro Pugh, Ed Jones, and Randy White in there. I think you look for a sprint out here by Bob Lee.
Back split behind Lee, who fakes the give, goes back to throw, looking to the left, being rushed by Randy White and sacked back at the 16-yard line by defensive tackle Randy White. And he came through almost untouched.
So that will bring on the veteran, Fred Cox, to attempt the field goal.
At the 14-yard line is where they will mark it down and the contact made. So you were right in one respect as to what they would do. They just couldn't get it off with Randy White burrowing up the middle. The mark will be at the 22-yard line, a 32-yard try. All Krause holding. Fred Cox to try to get 3. Snap back the ball down. The kick is up, long, high, and it is good. With 9:57 to play in this first half. Time has been called on the field with the score now. The Cowboys 13, the Vikings 3.
Well, the Vikings are on the board 13-3. They went 52 yards almost in one play. The big penalty, of course, the pass interference that set it up. Big play by Randy White as well, who sacked Bob Lee to negate what might have been a touchdown pass. Good coverage by the Dallas secondary, and that set up a 32-yard field goal by the veteran Freddie Cox, who could be playing in his final game for the Minnesota Vikings. Fred has announced his retirement at the end of the season. That could come today.
Cox hits a low line shot sailing down. Picked up by Larry Brinson at the 17 of the 20, 25, 30. Cuts and slips at the 31-yard line, and down he goes. Coming down to make sure that he stayed down was Nate Allen. An 18-yard return by Larry Brinson. First down for the Cowboys just outside their own 31-yard line.
So let's see now if the Minnesota defense can force the play a little bit and contain the Dallas Cowboys. Give the offense a chance to get back in it.
Cowboys come out. Wide to the left side goes Drew Pearson. They go with a double tight end set. Saldi is on the right. Dupree on the left. I formation, give to Dorsett in the middle, spins off a man, and a flag goes down at around the 35-yard line at the point of the tackle. Jeff Seaman, the middle linebacker, making the initial contact. Along with the help of Alan Page, a flag down at around the 35-yard line, however. And the Cowboys may have been caught holding or an illegal use of the hands call, perhaps. We'll see. The Cowboys know it's against them. They start to back up.
Looks like the preliminary indication will be holding against the Cowboys. And that'll be a big one, so the Vikings naturally will accept it. Try to put them back in a bigger hole for Staubach to go to the air and hope for an INT.
It is 1st and 20 now, just outside their own 21 for Dallas. They lead here, 13-3, 9:45 to go first half. Slot left, Golden Richards in the slot. Wide to the left is Drew Pearson. Backs offset strong right. Out of the backfield in motion to the right comes Robert Newhouse. Staubach gives on the draw on the delay to Dorsett. Spinning off a man at the 25, loses the ball at the 24-yard line. And Dallas maintains possession, recovered by the offensive center, John Fitzgerald. They'll mark it at the 24-yard line. Got about 3 yards on the play. It was Jeff Seaman, the middle linebacker, who made the hit, and Dorsett lost the ball. But Fitzgerald saved him the embarrassment of losing it down deep in Cowboy territory. And they got about 3 yards out of it.
Dorsett and Newhouse, you recall, in the Bears game, each had a fumble before Dallas got on the scoreboard.
Second down. And about 17 to go. Just shy of their own 25. Pearson wide right. Back to throw is Staubach. Hard rush coming. Steps up and ends. Going to scramble. Comes to the 25. Hit and down at the 28-yard line. Fred McNeil made the first hit. And a Cowboy shaken up, and that is Tony Dorsett. And he is going to limp out of there. Now, Preston Pearson is the other running back that could come in, or Doug Dennison, perhaps, and it looks as though Dennison's going to come in and replace Tony Dorsett. Pearson has a leg injury also. Staubach scrambled out to around the 29-yard line, leaving them now with a third down, and still almost 13 yards to go. Just shy of their own 29. Tony Hill is the wide man on the left side. They go with 3 wide receivers. Golden Richards in the right slot. Drew Pearson wide right. Dennison is back there with Pearson as they go into the shotgun. Staubach takes the strong snap and sets back to throw on 3rd and 13. A lot of time. Scrambles out to the right side. Looking, still running. Spins off Jim Marshall's tackle try. Going back to the left. Fires up and out to the left side there to Golden Richards. He's going to be hit and dropped right around the line of scrimmage, if not a loss of a yard or so. Fred McNeil, the right linebacker. Staubach had all the time in the world to move around and find somebody, and the coverage was good downfield. He finally dumped it off. They got it out to the 31-yard line for a gain of 2, bringing up 4th down, and still about 11 yards to go, and a punting situation.
Boy, a big break there for the Minnesota Vikings. I don't think, Bob, you can give Roger Staubach that kind of time. Jim Marshall had a shot at him down at about the 25-yard line. Roger just dodged and got away, got a block from Neely, then spun back over to the other side before finding Golden Richards, who originally had cut across the middle on a crossing pattern.
Danny White takes the snap back at his 15, steps into it at the 20, hangs it out down the middle for Manfred Moore. Good high punt, drives him back to his 23. Wants the right side, hit once and down at the 23-yard line. Great punt coverage by the Dallas special team. And it was Jay Saldi who came down to make the first hit on a 46-yard punt, and no return at the 23-yard line is where Minnesota will put it in play, and Saldi, who made the initial hit on Manfred Moore, is shaken up. There's a timeout on the field with the score. Dallas 13, the Vikings 3.
Bob, you get the feeling, as I watch the Minnesota punt recovery team walking off the field, that they're waiting for somebody, either the defense or the offense, to come up with some kind of a big play. They walked off very slowly, almost dejectedly. They're only 10 points down, but the way they walked off the field, they walked off like a beaten team.
They have plenty of time to get something started here. 7:16 to play in the first half. And they took advantage of a Dallas mistake on a pass interference call that set them up with a 1st and goal, and they wound up taking 3. Saldi is being taken off the field with a leg injury. And Jay Saldi, at this particular point, appears as though he would not be able to continue, at least in this first half. The Vikings come out. Bob Lee at quarterback. Wide to the left to Sammy White. Rashad goes wide to the right side. High formation behind Bob Lee. Tight end sets on the left from their 23. Flag is down. Give to Foreman. And Foreman may have been in motion and starting just ahead of the snap out of the tailback spot as he got it out to around the 26-yard line. Jethro Pugh got a piece of him and helped knock him down, but I think the penalty will come against the Minnesota Vikings here, as it appeared Foreman was off just ahead of the snap.
And that's what it'll be, so the Vikings now will have it 1st down and 15 yards to go. Clock is stopped, of course, 7 minutes and 12 seconds left to go. Cowboys on top 13-3. Cowboys first downs, they have 5. Total offense 112 yards. The Vikings have 3 first downs. Total yards 34.
Bob Lee brings the Vikings out, puts Sammy White out to the left side. Ahmad Rashad goes wide right. Bob Miller and Chuck Foreman. Running backs offset strong right behind Lee. Takes the inside give, rolls out to the right, fires out to Foreman at the 20-25, tries to dance away and cannot, and gets to about the 26-yard line, but no more than that before he was finally wrapped up. It was D.D. Lewis, the linebacker, who got him just outside the 26-yard line. It'll leave Minnesota with a 2nd down and still about 7 or 6 yards to go. We'll call it 2nd down and 6 from their own 27.
Let's check the book on Bob Lee right now in the passing department. His 2nd completion out of 8 attempts, a total of 18 yards. Foreman has all 18 of those yards.
Vikings come out slot left this time as Lee gives off to Miller, counters the right side, hit at the 27, gets to around the 29, and finally, as they forced him to the outside, couldn't go anymore, and Charlie Waters came up to get him, along with Randy White, the defensive tackle, drifting out on the play. They'll mark it for a gain of a couple to around the 29-yard line, bringing up 3rd down, and still 4 yards to go for Minnesota on their own 29. 6 minutes, 10 seconds to go in this first half. They are 1 for 5, Minnesota, in 3rd down conversions.
Let's keep our eye on the tight end, Stu Voigt. See if maybe Mr. Lee has a pass play designed to go to the tight end. Early on, you recall, he was forcing the ball to Sammy White. As of late, he's been going to Foreman, slipping out of the backfield.
He gives on the inside this time, and Foreman muscles his way out to near the 34-yard line. That could be first down yardage. Countering back over the middle. As they unpile, it is first down for Minnesota. So they ran Foreman on a quick pop on the inside. And he picks up the first down around the 34-yard line.
You know, Bob, I think it was Tom Henderson, 56, who actually threw Chuck Foreman for the first down yardage. Henderson was trying to wrestle him down to the ground like a bear, and I think he actually threw Foreman the last yard or so and gave him the necessary yardage.
Foreman, 12 carries, 33 yards. They go out with Rashad to the left side, Sammy White to the right. Lee back to throw on first down. Pumps one time, fires up and out to the right intended for Sammy White, but he was out of bounds coming down the sideline. Cliff Harris back to cover for Dallas. It'll bring up second down and 10 for Minnesota on their own 34-yard line. And again, Jimmy, he continues to go to Sammy White, as he has for practically the entire ball game every time he has thrown the ball.
I can remember only one pass that was intended for Ahmad Rashad, and he hasn't looked to the tight end at all.
Tom Landry talking about the Minnesota club, saying that they were more of a big play kind of club than they had been in past years, with the speed primarily of Sammy White and Ahmad Rashad, and White being the primary deep threat. They go slot left, back split behind Bob Lee. Second and 10 from their own 34-yard line. Lee gives off to Foreman, wants the left side. They have it cut down, and he gets to around the 36, loses the football, but they maintain possession. D.D. Lewis came out of there with it. Harvey Martin, the defensive right end, made the stop. Benny Barnes up to help out, but they say they did maintain possession and got a couple of yards to about the 36. Bringing up third down and 8, and the Dallas nickel defense comes in. They bring in Bill Gregory, Randy Hughes, and Mark Washington.
And I'll tell you, D.D. Lewis took that football. He was so upset with the official's call that gave possession to Minnesota Vikings. He almost threw it underhand through the hole in the roof here at Texas Stadium. Vikings still have it.
Third down, a little bit less than 8. Third fumble, second. 2 have been lost by Minnesota, but that was their third fumble of the game. They go slot right back, split as Lee goes back to throw on third and 8. A quick pop to the outside, complete there to Rashad and out of bounds at around the 46-yard line, and that is enough for the first down. Ahmad Rashad forced out by Mark Washington, one of the extra defensive backs they bring in their nickel defense. But it's a first down for Minnesota, and Rashad getting the first down for them out at the Viking 46. 4 minutes, 16 seconds to go. First half, 13-3, Dallas out in front of the Minnesota Vikings in this NFC Championship game at Texas Stadium in Irving. Sammy White again is wide to the right side. Stu Voigt is the tight end on the right. Wide to the left, Rashad. Quick snap as Lee rolls out to the right to throw. Pumps one time, looking, fires up and over the middle. Complete to Voigt at the 45, 40, 35, and down to the 34-yard line of Dallas. Stu Voigt, the tight end, coming back into the middle. Cliff Harris wrapped him up at the 34, and that's another first down for the Minnesota Vikings. And this time in Dallas territory at the Cowboy 34.
The best Minnesota offensive show, as Bob called it. Bob Lee pumped once. That allowed Sammy White to clear. Tucking underneath was Stu Voigt, number 83, and it's first down, 10 yards to go. The Vikings on the move now on the Cowboys 34.
Sammy White comes out of the Viking huddle wide to the left side. Wide right goes Rashad. Stu Voigt, the tight end. He's setting on the left. High formation behind Lee. First down at the Cowboy 34. Fakes the give to the tailback. Back to throw is Lee. Up and out to the left side. Sammy White grabbed it. It's a catch at the 19-yard line as he fell out of bounds in front of Aaron Kyle, the right cornerback.
And all of a sudden with this drive, you're starting to see some life again on that Minnesota bench. All the players are up. Even though they've got their parkas on, they're all clapping and they're back in the ball game again. A little while ago, after that punt, as I told you, the punt team kind of dragged themselves off a little bit. Kind of like a beaten team down by 10 points. But now that reception by White, and it's another first down, and Bob Lee is finding the mark after having some problems early on. He is now 5 of 12 for a total of 63 yards. First and 10 to go for the Vikings at the Dallas 19.
They pick up 15 on the pass play. Rashad again to the left side. White is wide right. Voigt is tight on the right side at the 19 of Dallas. Fake to the tailback and back to throw on the right side is Lee. Looking, fires up and away over everybody as he had Sammy White coming across at about the 2-yard line, but saw that he was covered and delivered it out of bounds. So it'll bring up second down and 10 at the Dallas 19 for the Minnesota Vikings with 3:23 to play in this first half.
So far, Lee has not been intercepted at all. He's been sacked just one time for a minus 10 yards. Lee, bringing up to date, is 5 of 13, 62 yards, and his longest is 19 yards. Stu Voigt checks out, and checking in, I believe that'll be
Bob Tucker.
Right, acquired this year from the Giants.
They go slot left. Wide to the left side is Rashad. Tucker is tight on the right side. Second and 10 at the 19 of Dallas. Give on the draw to Foreman. Hit behind the line at the 21-yard line and could not get away from Bob Bruning as the linebacker was coming up the middle along with the safety blitz. And Cliff Harris was coming up the middle, and they dropped him for a loss of about 1.5 yards just outside the 20. It brings up third down and better now than 11 yards to go for Minnesota, just shy of the Dallas 20-yard line.
And after Foreman got popped, Bob Lee just put his hands on his hips, turned over to the sideline as if to say to the coaching staff, okay, you guys called that play, now let me call one of my own. That one didn't work so well.
Third down conversions, 2 out of 6 for Minnesota. They have another one facing them here, shy of the Dallas 20. Bob Grimm is wide to the left. Into the left slot is Spike. Rashad wide right. 3 wide receivers in their back split. Third down and 11. Back to throw. Rushes on. Bob Lee scrambles. Loses the ball. Loose ball around the 20. And let's see if Minnesota got it back at around the 19-yard line. Randy Hughes diving in there also. Too Tall Jones or Harvey Martin had a hand on it, it appeared, along with Bill Gregory. But Minnesota came up with it as they were able to maintain possession.
Charles Goodrun got it. Bob Lee had a shot at it. He tried to dribble the ball back about the 25-yard line. That's when Randy White got a hand in there, and finally Goodrun fell on the ball. Another field goal try coming up for Fred Cox and the Vikings.
They'll mark it at about the 27-yard line, a 37-yard try for Fred Cox. And now we've come down to the 2-minute warning. 2 minutes to play in this first half.
Well, I'm sure you're enjoying the game that Bob Starr is calling for you here. So remember, CBS Radio Sports brings you live coverage of the top sporting events of the year, all year long. The Super Bowl on January the 15th, the Ali Spinks fight on February the 15th. I'll be down at Augusta for the Masters Golf Tournament in April. Then it's the Triple Crown of Racing with Wynn Elliott in May and June. The All-Star Baseball game right here on CBS Radio in July. Then the U.S. Open Tennis Championships, the American and the National League playoffs, and, of course, the World Series. And live coverage from CBS Radio Sports right here over most of these CBS Radio network stations. Bob, word from the Dallas bench, Jay Salty has a sprained knee and is unsure if he'll return or not. Tony Dorsett has a bruised heel and will be back. General Hospital.
2 minutes to play in this first half. We've seen Minnesota with some pretty good opportunities, Jim Kelly, but unable to convert on them. Coming up again here with the situation where they have to try for the field goal. And the Dallas defense toughening.
Well, of course, the first Fred Cox field goal was set up by that big 44-yard pass interference call against the Dallas Cowboys. This has been really the only Minnesota offensive drive that they have shown in the entire first half. And they, it looks like, are going to have to settle for 3. You don't think that the old Iceman here, Bud Grant, has a fake field goal in his repertoire, do you?
At this stage, well, with 2 minutes to go in the first half, it might not be beyond him, but I think he would rather try to settle for the 3 right now if he can get it. Paul Krause in the hole. 37-yard try by Fred Cox. Slight angle from his right back to his left. All set. Snap back, ball down. The kick is up, long, high, and it is good. From 37 yards, they get 3 more. And now make it a 7-point difference in this game. And you have to harken back to the first point after by Flynn Herrera that was partially blocked and went awry. So it is now 13-6, Cowboys out in front with 1:57 to play in this first half as we get set for the Viking kickoff.
The veteran Freddie Cox, I told you before when he was out there that he has announced his retirement at the end of this season. He would like to extend his season 1 more game and make it into the Super Bowl. The Vikings, of course, have never lost an NFC Championship game. Bud Grant and company 4-0 in this, the championship game. But, of course, their record in the Super Bowl, Bob, El Zippo.
But that's, I guess, better than having never been there at all.
Right.
Anybody would tell you that.
Well, Dallas lost in their first Super Bowl appearance, came back and beat Miami in the following Super Bowl appearance. And, of course, the Cowboys are shooting to get back there. The winner of this game goes on to the Super Bowl on January the 15th. CBS Radio Sports will bring you that game live over many of these same stations. And, of course, it'll be the Denver Broncos who defeated the Oakland Raiders 20-17 against the winner of our game this afternoon.
Jim Kelly mentioned to you earlier it was about 30 degrees at kickoff, so it is cool. Not as cool as it would be if you were totally outdoors. Fred Cox hits a low line shot again, skipping down toward Larry Brinson, fields it at the 19, bobbles it, slips and falls on a knee at the 22, gets up, comes back to the 25, and is swarmed under at about the 25-yard line. So the Cowboys will put it in play around their 25. Fred McNeil coming down to get in on the initial stop.
Well, both the Cowboys and the Vikings, Bob, have all 3 of their timeouts left. We'll see what happens now if Tom Landry and Roger Staubach are left to air it out here with 1:51 left to go, and Dallas on top by 7, 13-6.
The ball just outside their own 25-yard line for the Cowboys. Butch Johnson will come out to the right side. Dorsett is back in there to run. He is with Newhouse. They put Johnson over on the left side on the wing. Drew Pearson wide right, back split behind Staubach. First down call. Gives on the inside to Newhouse. Comes to the 30, 31, maybe to the 32-yard line before he is wrapped up. Matt Blair coming across from the left linebacker spot. And coming up from the secondary was Jeff Wright out of the free safety spot. They'll mark it at the 31-yard line. It'll be second down and a short 5 to go. About 4.5 from their own 31 as the clock continues to run down inside a minute and a half to play. In this first half, Dorsett has carried 8 times for 31. Newhouse 7 times for 27 yards. Pearson wide to the left side. Golden Richards into the left slot. Back split. Dupree is tight on the right side. Staubach goes back to throw on second down at about 4.5. Looking, fires up and out to the left side. Drew Pearson there and has it. Steps out of bounds at the 43-yard line of the Cowboys. He came back on the ball. He had taken Bobby Bryant a few yards deep and then came back to get the ball. And it's almost impossible to defend that kind of thing, especially with Drew Pearson, who probably is as good at that particular kind of play as anybody in the National Football League.
Bryant thought he had some help. He did. Number 23, Jeff Wright, was the underman, but of course Pearson just spun him around and was open over on the sidelines. Bryant having a tough afternoon. He's already been called for 1 holding penalty that led to 1 Dallas score.
They go with Dupree in the right slot now. They go into the shotgun. Wide to the right side is Pearson. Preston Pearson in there with Dorsett. Back to throw a Staubach off the shotgun, looking on a first down and rolling back around his 35. Fires up and out to the right to Dupree at the 45. Hit and driven down as he did not get out of bounds. It's at the 41-yard line. The clock continues to run. Dupree banged out of there. Jeff Wright coming over to get a piece of the action, but the clock continues to run. Now they stop it as they get everybody marked. They'll mark the ball at the 41-yard line. 53 seconds to play in this first half. The ball at the 41 of the Minnesota Vikings.
And again, Staubach given all kinds of protection by that Dallas offensive line. Golden Richards had run a deep fly pattern and cleared out the zone. On a post was Dupree, the tight end. He saw that Roger was in trouble, scooted out to the right side, and then Dupree just turned it up to the sideline, and Staubach found him there. Roger now 5 out of 7 for a total of 68 yards. And, of course, the biggest one was that 39 or the 32-yard touchdown pass to Golden Richards, the second time that the Cowboys touched the football.
13-6, Dallas out in front. 53 seconds to play as they take a timeout here and have the ball at the Minnesota 41-yard line. One of the things that Bud Grant was talking about in assessing the Dallas club that he faced in the opening game of the season when the Vikings lost in overtime to Dallas, and the club that he's facing now, is the improvement of their offensive line. He felt the Dallas offensive line was not that strong in their first game and had come along very, very well over the course of the year and become a much better offensive line. Wide to the left goes Drew Pearson. Wide to the right side is Golden Richards. They go into the shotgun. Dupree is out into the left slot with the double wing, Pearson and Dorsett. Now Dorsett shifts back to set alongside Staubach in the shotgun. First down to the 41, takes a snap. Blitz is coming from Page, and he got free and comes up there, and a flag is thrown, and we may have an intentional grounding, as Staubach was really pressured by Alan Page, who blew across the line, came in almost untouched.
And the Cowboy fans aren't going to be at all happy about that call. And I really doubt the wisdom of what Matt Blair, number 59, is doing right now. It's, well, you've won the battle but not the war kind of thing right here, I think, Bob. He went and kind of rubbed it in Rogers' face a little bit. Cowboys are still on top.
Loss of down and the penalty on the intentional grounding. Second down now and 25. The ball back at the 44-yard line of Dallas with 50 seconds to play.
I didn't know that you went down before the game and put a microphone on Pat Haggerty, Bob Starr.
I wish I hadn't. I'm not sure what Pat said, but I think it was right. They have Pearson wide to the left. Butch Johnson is wide right out of the shotgun again. On a second down and 25 from their own 44. Staubach takes the snap, rushes on, screen pass up the middle, gets it off to Preston Pearson at the 45, 50, 45. Cuts down to the 40, 35, 30, all the way down to the 24-yard line of the Minnesota Vikings with 38 seconds to go, and they call a timeout. The stop finally made by Wally Hilgenberg. For the Minnesota Vikings, they run the screen off the shotgun and get the first down to the 24-yard line of Minnesota.
And Roger never saw the pass completion. Matt Blair Apparently there's some bad blood between the two of them because Blair really stuck Staubach back at about the 35-yard line. No flag from Haggerty for roughing the passer, and it's another big Dallas first down.
They use a timeout. Cowboys have one left. 38 seconds to play. They are at the Minnesota 24-yard line. They lead 13-6. In this first half, Dallas would feel much more comfortable if they could get at least 3 more on the board before going in here at halftime. Staubach now 6 out of 8 for 100 yards.
And, of course, we've got lots more football action coming up on CBS tomorrow. The Cotton Bowl game, live over most of these same stations. Football action, yes, Texas style, as in Texas Longhorns against the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. Some of those Notre Dame football players staying over at the hotel. And, Bob, I know you've got some big boys on your St. Louis Cardinals. You've got some future Cardinals on that Notre Dame football team. They are big.
I would certainly hope so.
Cardinals wouldn't mind having a fellow by the name of Earl Campbell either, would they?
Well, I suppose they would take him. I think right now at this particular stage they might be more impressed with a guy like Ross Browner. So would anybody else in the National Football League getting a guy like Browner.
You know, they tell me his brother, Ross Browner's brother, is bigger. He's a freshman. 6'8", 240.
Is he any tougher?
And growing.
They have an outstanding team. That'll be a great ball game tomorrow on the Cotton Bowl. Texas and Notre Dame here on the CBS Radio Network. We hope you'll all be listening for it. It'll be an exciting afternoon. Staubach brings him out first down. He'll work out of the tee this time from under center at the 24-yard line of Minnesota. Slot left formation. Staubach back to throw. Looking as Roger looks for the left corner of the end zone. Open out there is Golden Richards, but he caught it out of the end zone. Golden Richards in the back left corner of the end zone was out of the end zone when he made the reception. Nate Wright was back along with Paul Krause on coverage. It'll be just a long incompletion. Used up 6 seconds, 32 seconds to play in this first half. 2nd and 10 now for the Cowboys at the Dallas 24. And the Minnesota 24.
And Roger threw it on a string. You can't throw the ball any better than that, right into the corner of the end zone. But Golden Richards' left foot does not come down inbounds.
Butch Johnson has checked into the offensive set for the Cowboys. They have Preston Pearson in there, Drew Pearson in there, Dorsett is in there. And Billy Joe Dupree is the tight end setting on the right. As Staubach has the back shift out split behind him, slot left with Butch Johnson in the slot, Drew Pearson wide to the left, back to throw again is Staubach. Looking to the left side, a flag goes down, he rolls out to the right side to throw, fires up and out and off the hands of Dupree at about the 15-yard line. And the Cowboys may have been caught on a holding call as the flag was thrown before Staubach ever got it away. Now it appears as though it may go against Minnesota. Personal foul against the Vikings. Against the Vikings. With 24 seconds to play in this first half. And it came from the defensive right side, Jim, and I'm not sure which man it came from. Mark Mullaney is in there playing the defensive right end.
Well, we'll wait for the official's indication. He will probably tell us which player the personal foul was called against. Maybe we can pick it up. Nate Wright really stuck Billy Joe Dupree, the intended receiver, but that was long after the flag. And this one's going to hurt the Vikings. It would have been a 3rd down and 10 situation for the Dallas Cowboys. Back upfield, but right now, the ball is all the way down on the 13-yard line.
It'll be first down. Doug Sutherland comes back into the defensive line for the Minnesota Vikings. They'll drop out Wally Hilgenberg, one of their extra linebackers. So it is first down at the 12-yard line of Minnesota. Dallas, 3 penalties, 69 yards. Minnesota, 3 for 22 yards.
Personal foul was against Jim Marshall.
Back split now. Wide to the left side, Pearson. Wide right, Golden Richards. Staubach at the 12, back to throw. Fires up over the middle, complete there, and down to about the 4-yard line. Preston Pearson taking it. Fred McNeil, the right linebacker, made the stop. It is 2nd and about 2 yards to go for the first down. As Dallas uses up their last timeout with 9 seconds showing on the clock. Dallas using their last timeout in this half. Faced now with a 2nd down and about 2 at the 4-yard line of Minnesota.
And again, the Dallas offensive line doing the job, giving Staubach plenty of time to find his receiver. Roger didn't want to use his last time out right there. He was trying to get the Cowboys up to the line of scrimmage quickly enough to get off one more play, just throw it out of bounds and stop the clock. Roger now is 7 out of 10 in passing, 108 yards. And again, the big one, the 32-yard scoring strike to Golden Richards. But right now, with just 9 seconds left to go in the first half, Staubach and the Cowboys knocking on the Minnesota door once again. They've got it first and goal. Check it. Second down. And about 2 yards to go at the 4-yard line. But Dallas is not thinking first down. They're thinking touchdown.
Staubach has been over to talk it over with Coach Tom Landry. 9 seconds to play first half. 13-6 Cowboy lead right now. And the Cowboys with a 2nd down and 2 for the first down at the 4-yard line of Minnesota. Jeff Seaman has been over to talk it over with Bud Grant along the sideline as he comes back into the defensive set for Minnesota. Denver's already won today. They have won the American Conference Championship with an exciting 20-17 win over the Oakland Raiders, knocking out the defending Super Bowl champs. Dallas coming out. Wide to the left goes Drew Pearson. Wide to the right side comes Butch Johnson. Dupree, the tight end, sets on the left. Preston Pearson runs along with Dorsett offset now. They split behind Staubach. 2nd down and 2 to go for the first down at the 4-yard line. Staubach back to throw. Pumps to the left. Fires over to the left and over the head of Drew Pearson. Incomplete, leaving 5 seconds on the clock. And a 3rd down. And the field goal unit comes on for Dallas. He had the break, Jim Kelly, and he had come clear, and the ball was just out of his reach.
Just a little bit overthrown by Roger. That play only used up 4 seconds, but Tom Landry here elects to take the 3-point try rather than risk coming up short if the next play would fail to score. So Efren Herrera in to try a field goal. Charlie Waters to hold.
Slight angle right to his left, soccer-style kicker. Back is the snap. The kick is up, and it is good. From 21 yards away, the mark being the 11-yard line. With 3 seconds showing on the clock, Dallas gets 3 more and leads it now 16-6, opening up a 10-point gap as we get set for the Cowboy kickoff toward the end of this first half here.
So the Vikings trail it by 10. We've got 3 seconds left to go, and I'm sure Tom Landry will tell Efren Herrera just to squib it and keep it away from any of the Minnesota deep backs. Let's not have a long touchdown run back here. Keep it away from Sammy White and company, and elect to go into the locker room leading by 10 at halftime. 75 yards, 9 plays, and 1 penalty. It was a big penalty. Could have been even more costly had Dallas been able to come up with a touchdown.
Herrera has it teed at the 35. Also that drive had to overcome an intentional grounding call by the Cowboys that cost them, but they maintained possession and got back up for 3 points. With 3 seconds showing on the clock, Herrera set to kick off. Manfred Moore back by himself at about the 1-yard line. Herrera comes into it, hits a low line shot, skips up to one of the wedge men at the 30, 35, 40, and that is Mike Keller, who comes out to about the 43-yard line. His time has run out. There's the gun sounding the end of the first half with the score. The Dallas Cowboys 16 and the Minnesota Vikings 6. Fred Cox is set to kick off for the Minnesota Vikings. Dallas will get their hands on the ball first to start the second half of action. Larry Brinson and Butch Johnson are back to return for the Cowboys. Cox comes into it. The veteran from Pittsburgh hits a low shot again. Bounding down, and Brinson takes it at the 13, to the 15, to the 20. Slips and falls and skids, loses the ball at about the 25. And they say it was blown dead at about the 28-yard line. So really, Jim, this field probably is a bit more treacherous than you or I either imagine. It's always fairly moist. If there's been any rain, it doesn't dry out well down here. And there are some slippery spots, and both sides have had trouble with footing.
Injured Cowboy down at about the 40-yard line of Minnesota. Looks to be number 67. We'll check it. That would be Pat Donovan. You know, you check the stats, Bob, and actually a 10-point deficit, you considering the total yardage, 185 for the Cowboys, 96 for Minnesota, and the fact that the Vikings have coughed up the ball twice, 10 points down is not too bad.
It is number 57 rather than 67. That's Bruce Huther out of New Hampshire who was shaken up. Not to avoid your question, I think you're right in that regard. Minnesota has had their opportunities and had a chance for a couple of touchdowns and had to settle for the 2 field goals. And this, the one being a very, very deep penetration, and had to settle for a field goal after a fine play by the Dallas defense. And they wound up with their first 3 off that after a pass interference call and put them deep in Dallas territory. But it's the second half now, and we are in the third quarter. Opening series of downs from their own 28-yard line. Dallas coming out. They go slot right with Bush Johnson in the slot. Drew Pearson is wide to the right side. High formation behind Roger Staubach. Newhouse and Dorsett, the runners. A pitch to the tailback. Dorsett comes to the right to the 30, 35, and he slips and falls at the 37-yard line. No one really brought him down. He just skidded to a halt, picked up about 8 yards on the play. They'll mark it just outside the 36-yard line. It'll be a gain of about 9, second down and about a yard to go. Both sides having some trouble with the footing here at Texas Stadium. Of course, everybody knows it is not totally covered. There is a hole in the roof, and the moisture does get in, and it sometimes stays for quite a while.
Less problem with the footing here than in Minnesota.
Backs are split behind Staubach, who gives off to Dorsett, comes to the right. He is stacked up, hit hard. Carl Eller, the defensive left end, made the first contact with him and stacked him up close to a first down. May not have made it. They'll mark it right at the 37-yard line. It'll be third and less than a yard now for the Cowboys on their own 37.
And the Cowboys are lucky that they didn't fumble the ball away right there. Tremendous pop right in the middle. Jeff Seaman in there along with Matt Blair, but no fumble. So far, the Cowboys playing error-free football.
Third down conversions, 1 out of 5 for Dallas. Wing on the right as they go with a double tight end set, and Saldi is back in there. Dupree is tied on the left side. The give to Dorsett, counters back to the left, dives for what he hoped will be first down yardage, and let's see where they place the ball. He didn't get much at all as he countered back to the left side. And was stacked up. Jeff Seaman, the middle linebacker, jumping in there. Alan Page, the defensive right tackle. And let's see if they did pick up the first down or whether Dallas may be forced to kick it out of there in their opening possession here in the second half. They're slow on piling. The mark will be right at the 38-yard line. They bring the chains in. It will be close if they made it or whether they did not make it. And they are short by a couple of inches. The fans would like to see the Cowboys go for it, and Tom Landry saying, let's kick it out of there and see if we can force Minnesota deep and maybe into another mistake.
I'll tell you what, by the time John Fitzgerald picks up the ball to center it, if they'd put it down and remeasure it, they'd have a first down.
It is very close, an inch, maybe 2 inches at the most, just shy of the 38-yard line. Danny White in to do the punting. Manfred Moore back in single safety for Minnesota, as the Vikings, also like Dallas, a very good special team in punting situations of blocking punts. High snap, but White brings it down, hangs it out on a line toward Manfred Moore, comes under it at his 28, wants the right side, spins off one man, but is spun down at the 30-yard line. Tom Henderson made the stop on him. Scott Laidlaw got down first, got him by an arm, spun him around, and then Henderson put the clamps on him right at the 30. 38-yard punt by Danny White, 4-yard return. And it'll be first down Minnesota, their first possession of this second half, just shy of their own 30-yard line.
So the Minnesota Vikings take over on offense now. A veteran football team. They are 4-0 in NFC Championship games. Don't look for them to crack under pressure. They're only 10 points down. They won't try to get it all back at once.
Rashad wide right, White to the left, pitch back to Foreman, wants the right side, hemmed in, hit again, and finally dropped for a loss of at least one. Harvey Martin shut it down. Too Tall Jones helped shut it down. Charlie Waters came up along with Randy White to make the stop. They'll mark it at the 29-yard line. It'll be a loss of about half yard. It'll be second down, better than 10 now for Minnesota. A tough outfit, a very mobile defensive setup for the Dallas Cowboys. 33 yards for Chuck Foreman in 15 carries. Sammy White comes out of the Viking huddle wide to the left side. They have Stu Voigt, the tight end, on the left side. Rashad goes wide right, backs off, sets strong right behind Bob Lee. Lee fakes the give, goes back and sets the throw. Fires up and down to the left side to White, who is open at the 48, got it at the 45, and out of bounds at the 43-yard line in Dallas territory. Charlie Waters dragged him out of bounds. He got behind Aaron Kyle, and the help did not come in time. The ball was not really well thrown either, Jim Kelly, but it got to Sammy White, who was there, big game, big play, big gainer, and is now at the 43-yard line of Dallas.
Just a simple up and out for Sammy White. He lets the wide receiver clear the zone. White then goes to the sideline, and as Bob was telling you, the ball was actually kind of a dying duck sort of pass, something that Bud Grant might shoot if you were duck hunting up in the wilds of Minnesota, but it got there, even though it was dying when it did, and it's a big Minnesota first down.
They pick up 28 yards on the play to the 43 of Dallas, first down. White to the right, Rashad to the left, give to Foreman, slash to the left side, hits once, gets free to the 40, 35, dumped at the 32-yard line. Aaron Kyle got underneath him and helped dump him along with Bob Bruning, the middle linebacker. But that's a gain of about 11 on the play and another first down. They mark it down to about the 32-yard line, a gain of 11 and another first down for Minnesota. Foreman shaken up on the play, comes out, and Sammy Johnson, a 6'1", 225-pound four-year man from North Carolina comes in to replace him. Bob Lee, 6 for 14 for 91 yards. Rashad to the left side. Lee gives off to Sammy Johnson. Slants it to the right. Hit at the 30. May have gotten to the 29. No more. Ed Jones, the defensive left end. Bob Bruning, the middle linebacker. All on the stop. And Jethro Pugh, the defensive left tackle for Dallas. A gain of 2. 2nd down and 8 for Minnesota. And they've come roaring here in this first possession in the second half. Down to the Dallas 30-yard line with a 2nd down and 8.
And over on the Cowboys sideline, Tom Landry not changing his expression, but he is chewing his gum a little faster.
They have Sammy White coming out wide to the left side. Rashad goes wide right. Tight end Stu Voigt's on the left. Backs off, set strong right behind Bob Lee on a 2nd down and 8. Defense moves ahead of the snap. The ball is bobbled. Scrambled for it, but flags go down as they had a blitz of some sort on it. Looked like it might have been coming from the safety.
And it looks like Pat Haggerty is going to whistle the Vikings for a procedure penalty. You had more flags out there. It looked like the Cotton Bowl parade tomorrow.
They'll move it back to the 35-yard line, bringing up 2nd down and 13 now for Minnesota. And Foreman is all right. He is back in, and Sammy Johnson comes out of the Minnesota backfield. And the Cowboys go with their nickel defense. They bring in Bill Gregory to play in the defensive line and bring in Mark Washington and Randy Hughes in the secondary.
And let's see, Bob, how the Vikings react now to this penalty. It's not a big penalty, 5 yards, but the drive has been thwarted for the moment. Minnesota making mistakes again.
2nd down and 13 at the Dallas 35. White's to the left, Rashad to the right. Foreman gets the give, hit at the line of scrimmage. May have fallen for a yard as he tried to go to the right side and got virtually nothing out of it. They got only a yard. Too Tall Jones shut it down on the left side, and then coming across to get it from behind was Harvey Martin, the defensive right end. Third, and they are 2 for 6 in third down conversions, and they have a 3rd down and 12 at the Dallas 34.
And Foreman limps off.
They go slot right with Rashad wide to the right side. Grimm is wide to the left side. Back to throw is Bob Lee on 3rd and 12. Up and out to the left side, and it's too high for Bob Grimm at the 20. And the coverage Mark Washington was supplying, he had slipped and fallen at about the 17-yard line, and the ball was overthrown for Grimm. And it brings up a punting situation for the Minnesota Vikings at the Dallas 34. So the penalty that you were talking about probably had an effect on this particular drive and shut it down, as they had a motion penalty at the Dallas 30 that moved it back to the 35, and they got a yard only. Claybo, averaging 32 yards a kick, stands in. He is at the Dallas 48. Probably will go for a sideline. He does for the far sideline, angling it out, trying to get it down deep, and it sails out of there. Did it go in for the touchback or not? It is a touchback. It got into the end zone. He headed it for that coffin corner and just missed it by a foot or so, it appeared, from this angle. There's a pause in the action with the score. Dallas 16, the Vikings 6.
2 Year's Day. Let us from CBS Radio. Yours truly, Jim Kelly, Bob Starr alongside. Wish everybody a very happy New Year listening in around the world on American Forces Radio, as well as our regular CBS Radio Network stations. It'll be good when we go down to the Super Bowl in 2 weeks. We'll get a chance to see our friend Bob Martin of our CBS station KOA in Denver, the voice of the Denver Broncos. The Broncos upsetting the Super Bowl champions of last year, the Oakland Raiders 2017. They are in. And the winner of this game, of course, will be in as well. And right now, the Dallas Cowboys are up on top by 10.
First down, Dallas on their own 20-yard line after the Neil Claybo punt. Went into the corner of the end zone for the touchback, and the Cowboys take over on their own 20. 10-11 to play, third quarter. They lead by 10. Drew Pearson wide to the left side. Jay Saldi back in as a tight end on the right side. Dupree is tight on the left side. They shift into the eyes. Newhouse and Dorsett run behind Staubach on the first down call from his own 20. Roger pitches back to the tailback. Dorsett comes back to the 20, 25, 27, and down at the 27-yard line. Quick pop for 27. Paul Krause and Fred McNeil coming up on the stop for Minnesota. They'll mark it for a gain of 7. Leave Dallas with a second down and about 3 to go, just outside their own 27-yard line.
And as Dorsett was going down, he was bobbling that ball just a little bit. The Vikings starting to claw their way. They want to scratch and try to come up with some kind of a turnover here. Viking defense needs to give the offense some help.
Dorsett 12 carries, 47 yards. Newhouse 7 for 27. They go slot left. The Staubach has Dorsett on the left wing. They shift out now, and they're split behind. Staubach shift into the eye again as they get a lot of movement in the backfield. Staubach can't find Dorsett to give the handoff to him, and he's going to be hit for a loss of about a yard. Matt Blair, coming from the defensive left side, is a linebacker coming over to help shut it off. And coming up from the secondary was Jeff Wright. And Staubach just flat missed the handoff. I think Dorsett may have missed the call on the play coming out of the tailback spot in the eye, and Roger just couldn't get the ball to it.
Yep, it was a busted play. Roger went to the right side, Newhouse, and Dorsett started to the left, so Roger just tucked it in, and he went to the left side as well. 61,968 here following New Year's Eve. That's a pretty good turnout.
I wonder how everybody feels. Wide to the right side is Drew Pearson. The back shift behind Staubach. Dupree is tied on the right. Third down at about 3 from their own 26 back to throw. Staubach looking to the right. Rush now fires over the middle. Complete to Preston Pearson at the 35 and spun down, but it's a first down. Preston Pearson coming out of the backfield and coming up underneath the deep coverage. Was able to take it in and was hit immediately and dropped, but took it in for the first down. The tackle made by Nate Allen.
And I'll tell you, Nate Allen was all over him. Staubach had plenty of time. Looked, he was the checkoff man, and Pearson just pulled it in. Nate Allen was on him like a blanket. No flag on the play, but if the pass would have gone incomplete, there might have been. The coverage was that tight.
Staubach is 8 out of 13 for 117 yards right now. Wide to the left is Drew Pearson, double tight end set. Give to the tailback Dorsett, comes into the middle over his own right tackle across the 35, out to about the 38. A gain of only about 3 yards on the play. McNeil, Carl Eller, the defensive left end, Jeff Seaman, the middle linebacker, all there on the stop. They'll mark it at about the 38-yard line. James White is playing as a defensive tackle. He's out of Oklahoma State. A gain of 3, second down and 7. White is playing in place of Doug Sutherland as the defensive left tackle for the Minnesota Vikings. He is 6'3", 263 in his second year from Oklahoma State. Staubach brings the Cowboys up. They shift the backs out strong right and motion out of the slot to the right. Goes Pearson back to the left side on second down and 7. Staubach rolls back to throw. Fires up and over the middle. It is incomplete to Drew Pearson. A bit too high at the 45. He was backing away from it, but he was clear. He just could not hang on to the ball.
More notes here, Bob, from General Hospital. From the Viking bench, Chuck Foreman, a bruised left knee. He will be back. From the Cowboy bench, Bruce Huther got his bell rung in the second half kickoff, and he'll be back.
Going to be tough to play this game, and they're well into the season. Everybody on both sides, when you get at this point in a football season, is banged up in some way or another. Foreman, I see, walking up and down the sideline, trying to loosen that knee up a little bit for the Vikings. Third down and 7 for Dallas on their own 38-yard line. They are 2 out of 7 in third down conversions. They go to the shotgun as Staubach shifts back as a tailback. From their own 38, third down and 7, takes the snap, goes back to throw, looks and fires deep up the right side for Drew Pearson, and it is incomplete. No flags anywhere. Pearson is claiming interference. He was covered on the play step by Nate Wright.
You can't blame Pearson for complaining on that one, as Nate Wright was doing an elbow job all the way down the near sideline, Bob.
It's the kind of play where you hope that you can get the pass interference call. And you send the guy deep and hope there's enough bumping that somebody picks it up. It was not, and Dallas has to kick it out of there as Manfred Moore comes in single safety for Minnesota. Danny White back to punt, stands at his 23-yard line to take the snap. Well, the Dallas Cowboys handles it, steps in, and rushes on, hangs it off the side of his foot, not real good. It's going to bounce to Moore, but bouncing right to him at the 19. Now he's going to let it go and get away from him, and they got a good roll inside the 15, down to about the 13 or 12-yard line. Moore had no chance to get the good bounce and get a return, and what looked like not a very good punt by Danny White turned out to be 50 yards with the roll and no return.
Well, Bob Starr, I know that in addition to baseball and football and basketball and hockey on KMOX in St. Louis, you folks like boxing as well, and we've got live coverage of the Muhammad Ali-Leon Spinks Championship fight from Las Vegas on Wednesday night. That's February the 15th. Now, Don Dunphy and our own Win Elliott will be there at ringside. Can you imagine Win in a tuxedo? Just to get him out of his leisure suit is an accomplishment. Just to find a tux big enough is an accomplishment. That's all on CBS Radio Sports, the exclusive blow-by-blow coverage of Ali and Spinks on February the 15th.
Minnesota out at their own 13-yard line, first down. Rashad to the right, Sammy White to the left side. Bob Lee stays at quarterback, gives on the counter inside, and nowhere to go. Bob Miller, out of Kansas, dropped for a loss. And it was Harvey Martin, the defensive right end, who got in there to drop him for a loss of at least a yard, if not 2, to back around the 11-yard line. It's a loss of a couple of yards. You know, you mentioned Leon Spinks. He's a great favorite. The Spinks brothers being Olympic gold medal winners from St. Louis, and Leon creating a lot of interest around the St. Louis area in his upcoming bout. Wide to the left side. Rashad quick snap. Lee rolls out to the right to throw. Being rushed now. Fires back out to the left to Rashad. Hit at the 14 and driven down. Aaron Kyle, the right cornerback. And it was almost a safety valve kind of delivery as Rashad had only gone down about 4 yards. He got the reception at the 15. It's a gain of 4. And it'll leave the Vikings with a third down and still about 8 to go for the first down at their own 15-yard line.
Now, we talk about the Dallas Doomsday defense. I don't think we've really talked enough about them and their performance over the last 2.5 games. We've still got a quarter plus to go in this one, but so far, they've only given up 6 points. Before that, they gave up 7 points in the last minute to the Chicago Bears. Before that, 6 points to the Denver Broncos.
Foreman comes in motion out to the left, and the offensive left tackle jumps offside. Started in the motion. The left tackle, Steve Riley, jumped up into his pass blocking and causes a 5-yard penalty against the Vikings. That'll move it back to the 10-yard line and bring up third down and 13 for Minnesota from back at their 10-yard line. They've gone with the 3 wide receivers, dropping out Voigt, bringing in Bob Grimm.
On the last 10 or the last almost 11 quarters now, the Dallas Doomsday defense, Bob Starr, has given up a total of 19 points.
They are just very, very tough to do anything against. They are good pass coverage, good against the run. They're very active, very mobile. Vikings come out wide to the left side as Rashad. They go with the slot right with White in the slot. Bob Grimm wide right. Back split behind Bob Lee. 3rd and 13 from their 10. Inside pop off there to Foreman. Comes back out to around the 15-yard line, but could get no more as Tom Henderson wrapped him up. The Dallas linebacker, and it'll force the Vikings into a punting situation from their own 15-yard line with a 4th down and 8 situation. Butch Johnson will be back in single safety, and the Cowboys appear to be ready to take over the football in very, very good field position. Claybo comes in to do the punting. Claybo stands at the 1-yard line to take the snap. He'll get the kick away from around the 5. Tony Hill is the man who is deep in single safety. Bobbled the snap for a moment, but Claybo hangs it out for Tony Hill. Comes under it at the Viking 49. Needs help. He's at the 45. Skips inside a tackle to the 41-yard line. Gets a fairly decent return, and the Cowboys take over in good field position. Coming down on the stop was Joe Blahak, reserve defensive back out of Nebraska. A 34-yard punt, 9-yard return. The ball just shy of the 41 of Minnesota. There's a pause in the action with the score. Dallas Cowboys 16, Minnesota Vikings 6.
Hello, radio fans. This is Steve Allen with a word on behalf of my friends at Postal Instant Press, PIP. And the word is the greatest. Yep, that's the answer to give people when they ask you what you think about Postal Instant Press. The greatest. Set those rascals straight. Tell them that Postal Instant Press is the best place in town, or, for that matter, the best place in the country, to get top value, professional printing done while you wait. Take your letterheads, envelopes, business forms, anything you want printed fast and inexpensively to PIP. And PIP will print copies while you wait. Believe old Steve Reno, folks. PIP is printing, and your instant printer is PIP. So look for the red, white, and blue sign that says Postal Instant Press.
For quality printing, here's a tip. Always rely on your nearby PIP. They'll print it fast while you wait. Take it to PIP. The printing is great.
Look for PIP or Postal Instant Press in the yellow pages under printers.
Well, just before that commercial break, Bob Starr mentioned that the Cowboys were about to take over in very good field position. They're about to take over the football game. They lead it by 10, 16-6. They take over first down, 10 yards to go now on the Minnesota 42-yard line. And I've got the feeling, Bob, that the Minnesota defense here has got to shut off the Cowboys because so far the offense has just come up with 2 field goals, and that's not nearly enough.
This is a key defensive series. Cowboys come out. The back split, Newhouse and Dorsett coming in motion back to the right is Drew Pearson. Staubach from the 41, fakes the inside give, screen out to the right side to Pearson. He's blocking, comes inside the 40, and good recovery prevented it from going any farther. It was Alan Page, not Alan Page, but it was Doug Sutherland who came out to get him at about the 38-yard line. So they wound up getting only 3 on what could have been a long gainer, and the defense read it very well. They got about 4 yards out of it. Second down, and about 6 to go. 4 minutes, 32 seconds to play third quarter. Cowboys by 10 in this championship game for the National Football Conference. Leading the Vikings, Drew Pearson out of the huddle wide to the left side. They go with the double tight end set. Dupree on the left side. Jay Saldi is on the right. Dorsett shifts into the tailback spot on the I behind Staubach. On second down and a long 6. The give to Dorsett comes into the middle inside the 40 down to the 30-yard line. And that is a first down. Doug Sutherland again getting in on the stop along with Jeff Seaman. And Jim Kelly, if you saw what I saw, Dorsett was very close to losing the football again as he took the handoff.
He was bobbling the ball. He had it behind him, a huge hole over on the left side. Ralph Neely, 73, the veteran, opened up a big hole over there. Quite a battle going on that side between Neely and Jim Marshall. You know, their ages add up to almost 74 years, and their pro experience 34 years between the two of them. And Jim Marshall has not announced his retirement, but Ralph Neely has. This is his last season as a Cowboy, and he would like to end it with a Super Bowl ring 2 weeks from today.
It is first down Dallas at the Minnesota 30-yard line. Cowboys out with Butch Johnson in there as a wide man on the left side. They've lost Tom Rafferty. The offensive guard just left the ball game. Double tight end set again. First down at the Minnesota 30. Staubach gives off to Newhouse into the middle. 30, 25. Flag goes down as he hits down to the 21-yard line for a gain of about 9. Wrapped up by Carl Eller, the defensive left end, coming back on the play. And up from the secondary is Paul Krause, but it may be nullified. Apparently, a holding call coming up against Dallas will nullify a gain of about 9 by Robert Newhouse. Rafferty has come back into the game. Burton Lawless goes out of there. He'd only been in for a play.
Holding call on 62, John Fitzgerald, the center. So that will hurt and move Dallas a little bit further back. And so far, that's then the best defensive play the Vikings have enjoyed on this Dallas drive.
Dallas 4 penalties, 79 yards. It's at the 40 of the Minnesota Vikings. First down and 20 after the 10-yard holding call. Rafferty back in to play the offensive guard spot. On the right side, wide to the left goes Drew Pearson. Into the left slot is Golden Richards. Newhouse stays back. They shift now as Dorsett comes back, and they split behind Staubach. Dupree is tied on the right on a 1st and 20. Staubach back to throw. Being rushed now, scrambles out to the right side. Still running. Trying to get away. Comes back to around the 41-yard line. They have lost a yard or perhaps 2 as he was forced out of there. Jim Marshall and Doug Sutherland putting some pressure on for the Minnesota Vikings off that defensive front 4. Did he get it back to the 40-yard line? They say he did not. He lost about a yard. It'll be second down and 21 at the 41-yard line of the Minnesota Vikings for Dallas.
You know, Bob, that's one of the few times in the entire football game that I can recall Staubach not having ample time to throw.
And I think he had time then scrambling out of there. Probably could have thrown the ball, but elected to keep it and try to run it. Wide to the left goes Drew Pearson. Coming out wide right is Butch Johnson. The tight end, Dupree, sets on the left side. Back split behind Staubach. 2nd and 21 at the Viking 41-yard line. On the long count, Staubach drops straight back to throw. Rushed hard again. Screens it off to the left side, off to Newhouse. Hit once, but gets free, but can't get away from the next one. And coming up to wrap him up was Jeff Wright. Right at the 40. They got only a yard out of that. And Fred McNeil, the right linebacker, made the first hit, slowed him down. McNeil is shaken up on the play, and Wright then wrapped him up for good. No gain on the play. 3rd down and 21. Just shy of the Minnesota 40-yard line.
And it was McNeil who made the play at about the 45. He slowed Newhouse up and waited for Jeff Wright to come over and help out along with Jimmy Marshall. It's the right knee of Freddie McNeil, and I think he's not checked out.
Nope, he stayed in. Hilgenberg was going to go in for him, but Freddie said he was all right, so he stays in there at the right linebacking spot. Dallas 3 out of 8 in 3rd down conversions. They go to the shotgun with a 3rd and 21 shy of the Viking 40. Staubach takes the snap and goes back to throw again. Setting and looking, fires up and over the middle, and it is complete to Pearson at the 20 to the 15. Drew Pearson down to the 12-yard line. And a first down, Paul Krause finally made the stop for the Minnesota Vikings as they convert the 3rd and long into a first down to the 12-yard line.
Well, the pass protection was perfect that time. Staubach 3rd and 20 from the 40 of Minnesota. Plenty of time. A straight back drop. Fires up over the middle. He got Pearson down to the 20-yard line. He just tucked it in and knifed his way down to about the 12.
Staubach in that shotgun situation, sometimes the defensive line just teeing off when he goes into that thing, but he is 11 out of 18 now for 140 yards. Has him out of the tee this time in the I formation. Drew Pearson wide on the left at the Minnesota 12 to Dorsett into the middle. Skips into about the 11, loses the ball at the 11-yard line, and Minnesota has recovered at the 11-yard line. Dorsett fumbling, and Fred McNeil, the right linebacker for Minnesota, takes it over and kills off the Dallas drive, and the Cowboys come off to the sideline as the defense comes onto the field, and the Vikings take over on their own 12-yard line as Dorsett fumbled the ball back to the Vikings.
No question about it, Bob Starr. That has to be the defensive play of the game so far for the Minnesota Vikings. It gives them life. Dallas was threatening again. A field goal would still mean the Vikings at that point would need 2 touchdowns, and so far, with just about 2 minutes to go in the game, in the 3rd quarter, the Vikings have had no touchdowns, so 2 is almost unrealistic. So they're keeping the Cowboys off the board, and as soon as that fumble was recovered by the Vikings. The coach's box to our right erupted. It's the first time they've smiled so far in the second half. Vikings take over first down and 10 yards to go on their own 12-yard line. And we'll see what Bob Lee and company can do right now.
They are faced with a situation now. I'm not giving the ball back to Dallas on a mishandle or a turnover back in this part of their field.
Well, most of the game we have talked about the problems that Tony Dorsett has had, at least today, in hanging on to the football. And I think about 3 plays before that, Bob called it for you. Dorsett took the handoff, fumbled it a little bit behind himself, reached around and grabbed it before he rambled on. And that play, he just lost it. The Vikings came up with it. Now, in the turnover department, the Vikings, with 2 early fumbles, lost 2 of 4. Dallas now 1 out of 2 in the fumble situation.
It is first down, Minnesota, on their own 12-yard line. The fellow who forced the fumble was Jeff Wright, the safety, coming up on the hit on Dorsett, and McNeil got the recovery. Lee brings them out. Sammy White is wide right. Rashad to the left. 1:48 to go, third period. They pitch back to Foreman, cuts to the right, dives back to about the 12. He loses the ball for a moment, but apparently got it back. Virtually no gain, maybe a half yard, but that is about all. The Dallas defense swarming out there. Coming out was Jethro Pugh, along with Bob Bruning, the middle linebacker. Tom Henderson, all there. They got maybe a half yard to a yard. Virtually no gain on the play at all. The ball still resting just barely outside the 12-yard line. Second down and still the better part of 10 yards to go. Sammy White comes out of the Viking huddle to the left side now as they break. Wide to the right goes Ahmad Rashad. Backs off that strong right. In motion goes Chuck Foreman out to the right side. Bob Lee back to throw on 2nd and 10. Screen out to the right side. Up there to Robert Miller. He is hit at about the 14-yard line and a gain of only 2 more yards on the play as they swarm under him. D.D. Lewis, the linebacker on the left side, swarming out along with Jethro Pugh, the defensive tackle. They will mark it right around the 14, bringing up third down and still about 8 yards to go. Minnesota faced again with a 3rd and long. Bob Grimm checks in. Stu Boyd drops out. That'll give them 3 wide receivers with 36 seconds to play in this third quarter as the clock counts down. And the Cowboys lead it by 10, 16-6 over Minnesota. Bob Lee brings them out. He sends Bob Grimm wide to the left side. He puts Sammy White into the left slot. Ahmad Rashad goes wide to the right side. The backs are split behind Bob Lee. 3rd down and 8 from his own 14-yard line. Wants to throw, drops straight back under pressure. Gets away from that. Fires up and out to the right side. Incomplete, intended for Rashad. Covered by Benny Barnes. And Minnesota will have to kick it out of there from deep in their own territory.
And now, Bob Starr, the fact that the Vikings took advantage of that fumble by the Dallas Cowboys, were not able to convert, not even pick up 1 first down. I go back to what I was asking both Tex Schramm and Mike Lynn at halftime. When, if ever, do we see Tommy Kramer? Lee has been unable to move the Vikings except on 1 offensive drive all afternoon, and still he is in there. But maybe Bud Grant is just going to stay with the experienced Bob Lee rather than go with the rookie Tommy Kramer.
Claybo stands at the goal line to punt Tony Hill in single safety deep. Hard rushes on. He gets it away. They run into the kicker. Hill takes it back at the 49-yard line. Once the left side, cuts out to around the 43-yard line. But a running into the kicker penalty will be called, and Minnesota will maintain possession and get a first down and a penalty as time is running out here with only 2 seconds to go in this third period. You could almost see it coming. They weren't going to get a piece of the ball, Jim, but someone was going to have to get close enough to hit him, and they did.
You could definitely see them coming, no question about it. So the Cowboys called for the second time this game for roughing the kicker, and so far that has been one of Minnesota's best offensive plays. It gives them new life with just 2 seconds left to go in the quarter, trailing by 10, 16-6.
The running into the kicker call is a 5-yard penalty, not flagrant, thereby giving them the first down and a 5-yard penalty out to the 19-yard line and maintaining possession with 2 seconds to go in this third period. Vikings come out with Rashad coming wide to the left side. Miller and Foreman are the running backs. Offset strong left behind Lee. Sammy White is wide to the right side. Bob Lee on first down from his own 19. Wings it out to the left side to Foreman. Has to beat a man. D.D. Lewis spins off another at the 20. Out to the 25 and finally down. Good running by Chuck Foreman as he was finally dropped by Bob Bruning and Tom Henderson. And that's the end of the third quarter with the score. The Dallas Cowboys 16, the Minnesota Vikings 6.
Rather than bring a juicy hamburger to your mouth, bring your mouth to the juicy hamburger. Lean forward. Perfect.
We're at Wendy's old-fashioned hamburgers, picking up some tips on how to eat a hot and juicy hamburger. Listen.
If you are right-handed, hold the hamburger in your left hand, the napkin in your right hand, since the napkin does the work. 2 hands for beginners. Young man, use the napkin. Do not wipe with your sleeve.
At Wendy's, hot and juicy is not a slogan. It's the way we make our hamburgers. If you've ever had a dry, chewy hamburger, you're going to love Wendy's hot and juicy hamburgers.
Remember, don't think of your napkin as a decoration. With juicy hamburgers, it is your best line of defense.
Kmart is your savings store, where your dollar buys you more.
Kmart is the place to go for all your automotive needs, including STP gas treatment. It helps clean your carburetor and engine fuel system and helps remove water and fights rust in your fuel system. STP gas treatment is just one of hundreds of name brand items you'll find in the automotive department at Kmart, the saving place.
Kmart is the saving place.
Jim Kelly and Bob Starr back at Texas Stadium in Dallas with the Cowboys on top by 10, 16-6, and we've got 15 minutes of regulation play left. Of course, we could have an overtime.
2nd down and 4, they give to Miller, and he gets only about a yard trying to counter to the right, spins off a tackle, but finally a horse down at about the 27-yard line. Tom Henderson, one of the Dallas linebackers, had him. They'll give him only a yard, the first tackle being the one that stopped him. And Jim, in talking about Tommy Kramer the other night at a press conference here, Bud Grant was asked the question why he did not use Bob Lee in the Oakland game, which Minnesota was beaten, and did use Tommy Kramer. And he refused to answer the question, saying it was a personal decision, and really did not elaborate any more than that. Therefore, I think probably today he will probably continue to go with the experience. 3rd down at about 3 from their 26. Lee scrambling, shoots up over the middle, complete, and dropped by Boyd at the 40-yard line. He had gotten inside Charlie Waters. The ball hit him in the hands, and Stu could not hang on to it, and Minnesota will have to kick it out of there.
Well, that was not Bob Lee's fault. The pass was right on the money. At the 42-yard line, Voigt had it a little bit behind him, but certainly a catchable pass, and more than enough for the first down. Staubach, of all people, over warming up now on the Cowboys sideline, just trying to keep warm, I imagine, throwing a couple of passes. Of course, Bob, it was Tommy Kramer, the youngster from Rice, who came in and pulled out the San Francisco game 28-27 with 3 late touchdown passes in the 4th quarter there.
Claybo handles a snap, sends it out to Tony Hill back at the 43 of Dallas, at the 45 to the 50, hurdles a man at the 45, spins off down to around the 40 of Minnesota, and down. Good run back by Tony Hill, who has replaced Butch Johnson in that regard, and Tony Hill, rookie out of Stanford, 6'2", 196, returns at 14 yards to the 41-yard line of the Minnesota Vikings, and sets the Cowboys up in good field position again, as we're just into the 4th and final period. With a 16-6 count right now, the Cowboys out in front of the Vikings in this championship game in the National Conference. The winner to play the Denver Broncos in the Super Bowl on January 15th here on CBS Radio.
Well, we started out, it was about 30 degrees. I think we've dropped a few since then.
Unusually cool weather, I guess, for the Dallas Partisans down here. It is cold, I know, down in the stands, even though this stadium is mostly covered. But it is chilly down there, very comfortable, we might say, here in the booth. At least it is comfortable for me. Well, not terribly comfortable, I guess, for the people in the purple.
Listen, if we all had suede or cashmere coats, we'd all be comfortable.
Come on now. It's the best I got. Don't be knocking my get-up here.
Did Brenda pick out that tie for you, or did you do that yourself?
I can't recall. Is it that bad?
No, it looks good. Talking about the weather and the lack of Minnesota weather, some of the Viking fans trucked some snow down from Tundraland up there in Bloomington and Minneapolis-St. Paul, and they wanted to scatter it around the stadium here, 5 tons to be exact. But Mr. Schramm would not allow it inside the stadium, but they managed to sneak in a little bit of it in the form of snowballs.
First down, Dallas at the Minnesota 41. Cowboys come out. Drew Pearson wide right, double tight end set. Dorsett shifts into the tailback spot behind Bob Newhouse, behind Staubach. At the Minnesota 41, Dorsett gets the call again, comes to the 40 and hit immediately and dropped after a gain of 1. The stop was made by Doug Sutherland, the defensive left tackle for Minnesota. Let's pause 5 seconds for stations to identify themselves on the CBS Radio Network.
John Case brings you the great outdoors on News Radio 78, WBBM, Chicago.
Second down, 9. Dallas at the 40-yard line of Minnesota. Dorsett, 16 carries today for 60 yards. Wide to the right goes Drew Pearson. Staubach sends Golden Richards in motion out to the right side. Goes back to throw on 2nd and 9. Sets and looks, fires up and over into the middle. Complete to Drew Pearson at the 25. Spins back down to about the 21-yard line. Drew Pearson coming inside. Took it in front of Jeff Seaman. Was bumped off Seaman and then in the arms of Paul Krause. And it's a first down for Dallas at the 21-yard line of the Minnesota Vikings.
Cowboys going for the jugular vein right now. Clock winds down. 13 minutes and 12 seconds to play. A 10-point Cowboy lead, and they want more. Make it first down and 10 from the Minnesota 21-yard line. Vikings desperately now need another turnover. They've got to keep the Cowboys certainly out of the end zone, and they can give up no more than a field goal at this point.
19-yard pickup on the play down to the 21. Backs split behind Staubach. Wide to the right, Drew Pearson. Staubach with a first down call. Rolls out to the right all by himself, looking to throw back into the middle. It's off the hands of Billy Joe Dupree. Is it an interception? It is. Picked off by Nate Wright, and at the 5-yard line, Wright has finally dropped. Dupree, the man for whom it was intended, came back to make the stop. It was popped up in the air off the hands of Dupree, and Nate Wright just scooped it off the edge of the AstroTurf, or the artificial turf, and got it to the 3-yard line. And Minnesota will take over there. There's a timeout on the field with the score. Dallas 16, Minnesota 6.
A 32-yard touchdown pass from Roger Staubach to Golden Richards, and Dallas led 6-0 as the extra point was blocked. Dallas went on top 13-0 on a 5-yard touchdown run by Robert Newhouse, and the conversion was good. Then the Vikings came back on a 32-yard field goal from Fred Cox. It was 13-3. The Vikings closed it to 13-6. The Cowboys added one more field goal. It was 16-6 at the half, and we're still there in the fourth quarter.
Bob Lee rolling back into his end zone to throw the ball, batted up into the air and incomplete. Getting his hands on the ball and getting his hands up there, Larry Cole, who just came into the Cowboy defensive set, and he batted it down. It'll be 2nd and 10 for Minnesota back at their own 3-yard line, and again working from bad field position, but a scoreless third quarter, and scoreless here in the fourth quarter. 12 minutes, 31 seconds to play in this championship game for the National Conference.
And Bob, the Vikings were lucky that that pass was not picked off. Randy White at about the 2-yard line had a shot at it, but just couldn't get to it in time.
Vikings go with 3 wide receivers, slot right. Foreman and Miller run behind Bob Lee. The give to Foreman comes over his own right tackle, breaks it out to about the 9-yard line for a gain of 6. Ed Too Tall Jones, the defensive left end, hanging on and helping drag him down, along with Randy White, the defensive right tackle for the Cowboys. It'll be out around the 9 and a gain of 6, and a third down at about 4-yard situation coming up. We'll call it closer to 5 for Minnesota, around their 9. Bob Grimm comes out wide right. Rashad goes wide left. Sammy White comes into the right slot. Back split behind Lee. 3rd down and 5 from his 9-yard line. Lee back to throw. Steps inside the pressure, fires up and too low. Intended for Bob Miller, covered by Bob Broding, the middle linebacker. And Minnesota will have to kick it out of there. And again, Dallas on the verge of taking the ball again in good field position, Jim.
And a standing ovation for this Dallas Doomsday defense, which is really doing a job so far this afternoon, limiting the Minnesota Vikings to just 2 field goals in the first 3 quarters of play.
Tony Hill back in single safety. Neil Clabo will be punting from in the Viking end zone. Line of scrimmage, the 9-yard line. He'll get the punt away from right around the goal line. They line him up 10 across the front. They keep bluffing on the defense now. They set up the return as Clabo hangs it out nice and high, and a beautiful punt driving Hill all the way back to his own 37-yard line. Once the right side comes inside the 40, cuts to the 45, to the 50, spinning off tacklers to the 45, finally hit down at the 43-yard line of the Minnesota Vikings by Fred McNeil, and coming down to help out on the play was Doug Dumler, along with Scott Studwell. A 52-yard punt by Neil Clabo, and an 18-yard return, and what looked like not good field position when Tony Hill took it back at his 37. Winds up in good field position again for Dallas at the 43 of Minnesota. They had their shots at him, Jim, and just couldn't get him down.
4 Vikings had shots at him, Bob, and they all missed.
Pearson starts back in as he sets wide to the right side. Golden Richards wide to the left side. Back split behind Staubach at the Minnesota 43. Fakes the give and goes back to throw. Sets and looks. Fires out to the left. Incomplete to Billy Joe Dupree. He trapped it. And a hard rush coming from Carl Eller, the defensive left end, and Alan Page, the defensive right tackle of Minnesota. And Staubach got rid of it just in time. Incomplete pass makes it 2nd and 10 for Dallas at the Minnesota 43.
And interesting now, the strategy of Tom Landry and Roger Staubach, Bob, were 11 minutes, 35 seconds left to go in the fourth quarter, up by 10 points, and rather than run the clock down a little bit, use up some time, first down, 10 yards to go, Roger went right up on top.
The Cowboys, with Pearson coming out wide to the left, holding on to a 10-point lead with 11:35 to play. Dupree is tight on the left side. Saldi is tight on the right, back split. 2nd and 10 at the 43 of Minnesota. Inside give to Newhouse. Bangs down across the 40. And finally stacked up by Alan Page around the 38, 39-yard line, along with the help of Jeff Seaman, the middle linebacker. They combined to drop him. Coming up to help out from the secondary was Jeff Wright. They'll mark it around the 38. A gain of about 6. 3rd down and 4.
Well, let's bring up that word crucial again. Crucial 3rd down situation, Bob Starr. I think you'd have to agree at this point for the Minnesota defense.
They have to shut him down. 3rd down conversions for the Cowboys, 4 out of 9. Tony Hill is wide to the left side. Richards in the right slot. They go to the shotgun. Staubach is the tailback, and wide to the right is Drew Pearson. Staubach takes the snap, goes back to throw. Eller pressures him, and Jim Marshall gets him at the 45-yard line. Jim Marshall coming in from the right side. Eller put on great pressure coming from the left side, and Marshall gets Staubach. And many times you'll hear coaches tell you they like to see Dallas go into the shotgun simply because more times than not, maybe 90% of the time, they know he's going to throw the ball. He's not going to run it and give that little shovel pass up underneath that often, and they can just tee off and come after him, and the Vikings did it that time.
If the Vikings somehow manage to pull this game out, the offense should take the defense to dinner for the next 2 weeks.
Danny White in to do the punting. Manfred Moore back in single safety. Hangs it out for the far sideline. Manfred Moore goes over under it, and Danny White has kicked it out of bounds. And we'll see where they mark it. Outside the 15. At the 17-yard line is where Minnesota will put it in play. First down after shutting down the Dallas offense, getting their first sack of the afternoon. There's a pause in the action with the score. Dallas 16, Minnesota 6.
Kmart is your savings store, where your dollar buys you more.
Your neighborhood Kmart is the place to save on all your automotive needs, including famous STP oil treatment and new STP gas treatment. Use these leading STP car care products all year and save on both of them at Kmart, your saving place for all your automotive needs.
Kmart is the saving place.
In football, penalties are measured only in yards, but when your office copier breaks down, your penalties are measured in costly downtime. So now's the time to draft the Sharp SF730 or bond copier. Makes your serviceman a virtual stranger because it has no heating element, no developer, no filter bags, and it copies beautifully. For a free demonstration, check the yellow pages for your nearest Sharp copier dealer and bench that trouble-prone copier at your office. 10 minutes, 28 seconds to go in regulation. Again, the Cowboys are up on top by 10, and the Vikings have the ball on their own 16-yard line. You know, we haven't mentioned Fran Tarkington, I don't think, since the opening of the show. The fact he is out for the remainder of the season, no question about it. You have to wonder what's going through Fran's mind as he's watching his team down by 10 points, what plays he would be calling, what plays he might be sending in, Bob.
And there's a certain amount of frustration for any player who has to sit on the sideline and see his team compete in a championship game. Lee gives off on the counter to Robert Miller, hit behind the line and dropped at the 13-yard line. Hit behind the line and dropped at the 13-yard line by Too Tall Jones. They tried to counter back to the right side, and he dropped him for a loss of about 3 yards. They'll mark it at the 13. 2nd down and a long 3-yard loss, closer to 4, I guess. 2nd down and 14. Too Tall Jones.
And, of course, it's an obvious passing situation now for Bob Lee, one that allows the Dallas linebackers to try the blitz.
Lee with a back split, goes back to throw. Hard rush from Harvey Martin on the backside. Dumps it out in front to Miller, complete at the 20, 25, 30. Miller at the 35, 40, 45, and out of bounds in front of the Viking bench at the 49-yard line of the Dallas Cowboys. Benny Barnes getting over to get a piece of him. Harris was coming over to help out. They dumped it off to Robert Miller, coming out underneath the deep coverage. And he turns it into the long gainer out to the 49-yard line. So they needed the big play, Jim Kelly, and they got it. This one thing Tom Landry was talking about, that Minnesota much more capable of the big play with this club than some of the Minnesota teams of the past. But you would think the big play would come from a Sammy White, perhaps. But Robert Miller turned it in that time. Lee is now 11 for 23 and 141 yards. Wide to the left, Rashad. Sammy White's in the left slot. He comes out of the slot in motion back to the right side. Bob Lee fakes the give, wings it out to the right to Sammy White on a screen, gets by one tackler inside the 49 to about the 46-yard line of the Dallas Cowboys before he is spun down, and it was Ed Too Tall Jones again, the defensive left end, who got a piece of Sammy White and dragged him down.
Clock winding down, 9 minutes and 25 seconds left to go. Regulation play, Vikings down by 10. They must come up with some points on this drive, Bob, no question about it.
They have a 2nd down and 7, just shy of the 46-yard line of the Dallas Cowboys. Bob Lee has been in there all day at quarterback. And he sends Rashad wide to the left. He brings Bob Grimm wide right, White into the right slot. Back split. Lee goes back to throw on 2nd and 7, has a little pressure, and it slipped and fell, and he is open to throw, and he fires up, and it is incomplete for Bob Grimm, hit immediately by Charlie Waters from behind, and Grimm just couldn't hang on to the football. For Bob Grimm, hit immediately by Charlie Waters from behind, and Grimm just couldn't hang on to the football.
Grimm is lucky he hung on to his helmet, his head, and everything else that his body that might move, because Charlie Waters really stuck it to him. It was a comeback route. Grimm was open. The pass was thrown a little bit high by Lee over on the right sideline. Grimm came back toward the ball, which is exactly what you're supposed to do. He was up in midair, and Waters stuck the helmet right in his backside. Down went the ball. Down went Grimm and Charlie Waters, who had 3 interceptions in that win against the Bears last Monday.
Pressure was coming from the left side by Too Tall Jones, but he slipped and fell, and that allowed Lee to get outside to throw. They go with the slot right again. Grimm is wide right. Sammy White in the slot. Rashad wide to the left. 3rd down and 7 at the 46 of Dallas. Back to throw is Bob Lee. Steps in, scrambles out, being pressured, scrambles back to the right, throws underneath the foreman at the 45, and he is tripped up as he got to the 43-yard line. On a fine play, Tom Henderson just got him by the ankle, and instead of giving him the long gainer, gave him only about 3 to the 43-yard line, bringing up 4th down and still about 3 yards to go.
And Bob Lee tried to wave the punting team off. He wanted to go for it. He's pleading with Bud Grant. He's got his palms outstretched saying, hey, let's go. 4th down, 4 yards to go, 8 minutes, 20 seconds left, and Bud Grant elects to punt. I think you have to agree with him here. You hope for a turnover at this point.
And they can drive Dallas back if they can shut down Tony Hill, who is back in single safety. Play ball. 7 punts, 35.8 per punt. He stands back at his own 43 to take the snap. He'll get it away from around the 48. Angles for the near sideline, hangs it out high, but it may come right back into Tony Hill, who calls for the fair catch and has it around the 11 or 12-yard line of the Dallas Cowboys. Tony Hill electing to call for the fair catch. A couple of the Vikings, Fred McNeil, getting into a little verbal hassle with Mike Hickman.
This has been a very physical game. Make no mistake about it. It's been very physical from the outset. Cowboys lead it by 10. We've got 7:54 to go. And now let's see if Roger Staubach will run out a little bit of time here. Let the clock wind down, or if he'll try to pick up a 1st down by the air.
He goes for the slot left. Puts Butch Johnson in the slot. They go with an eye behind Staubach. Drew Pearson wide to the left side from their own 13-yard line. The pitch back to Dorsett. Turns it to the left. Cuts back inside at the 12. Hit right around the 11 or 12-yard line. May have lost at least a yard. Matt Blair, the left linebacker out of Iowa State, coming all the way across to make the stop, and they may have lost a yard at least to the 11-yard line. It's a loss of about a yard and a half. 2nd down and close to 12. Wally Hilgenberg checks in, and Fred McNeil comes out as the right linebacker for the Minnesota Vikings. 7 minutes, 25 seconds to play in this game. 16-6, Cowboys up by 10. They go with a double tight end set. Back split behind Staubach. 2nd down at about 12 from their own 11-yard line. Drew Pearson wide to the left side. Fakes the inside give. Staubach rolls back out, dumps it out to Jay Saldi, and he can't handle it at the 25-yard line. Jay Saldi, who was the tight end on the right side, drifted down, was open, but the ball was a bit too high for him. He couldn't handle it. And it brings up 3rd down.
And the Vikings get a break there. Otherwise, it's a Cowboy 1st down. Minnesota, of course, another crucial 3rd down situation. 7:08 to go. They'd like to hold them right here. Make the Cowboys punt the ball away, take over in pretty good field position, then drive it down and get some points. They're down by 10.
They bring in Preston Pearson as a possibility of a pass receiver. They put Drew Pearson wide to the right side. Preston Pearson replaces Newhouse. He teams up with Dorsett as they go to the shotgun. Richards in the right slot. Tony Hill is wide to the left side. Staubach takes the long snap, goes back to the 1-yard line, sets to throw, fires up, and way over. Golden Richards down at the 35-yard line. He had cut it inside, and he was open, and the ball was overthrown. And the Cowboys will have to kick it out of there. And that looked like a mistake either of the wide receiver, and I would have to say probably the wide receiver ran his pattern a bit too short, Jim.
I'd have to agree with you, Bob. It looked like Roger knew exactly where he wanted to put the ball, and the receiver simply did not run the route. Matt Blair blitzing from the left side put a little bit of pressure on Staubach, but except for the one play earlier in the third quarter, really Rogers had just about all the time he's needed all afternoon. Now let's see if the Vikings have the return on. Yep, they do.
7 punts for Danny White, 38.2 yards per punt. He stands back about 2 or 3 yards deep in the end zone. Manfred Moore stands at his own 48. High snap. White flags it down, gets it out, and hangs it out well. Back toward Moore, who will field it at the 49. Cuts back and fumbles the ball as he's hit. Loose ball around the 43 and recovered by the Cowboys. And out of bounds around the 37-yard line. And I think it was Jay Saldi. It was Jay Saldi. Out of South Carolina. Moore was really drilled. A 39-yard punt as soon as he was hit around the 49 of Dallas. The ball popped free and all the way down to the Minnesota 35-yard line. It's first down for the Cowboys.
Well, we've mentioned Minnesota mistakes as being a key to this ball game throughout the broadcast. We've mentioned the turnovers. Minnesota has coughed the ball up 46 times during the regular season. They'd only taken it away 28, a difference of 18. And they've made so many mistakes here this afternoon. Now they've lost 3 fumbles, and that has been the story. And, of course, the offense, they needed to get the ball back. They don't have it. Dallas has it first and 10 on the Minnesota 35.
They put Drew Pearson wide right. Wingman on the left side. Staubach at the 35, gives inside to Newhouse, comes to the 30, inside the 30, down to about the 27-yard line, where he was tripped up, finally fell into the arms of Jeff Wright, coming up from the safety spot. But it's a gain of close to 8 yards, and a 2nd down and 2 situation now for the Cowboys at the 27 of Dallas, of the Minnesota Vikings. 6 minutes, 28 seconds to play in this ball game. 16-6 Cowboys over the Vikings, and the Cowboys threatening, taking advantage of the fumbled punt. Started at the 35. It is now 2nd down and 2 at the 27 of Minnesota. Staubach brings them out. High formation behind him, double tight end set. Staubach gives to Newhouse, comes back into the middle to 25. Down inside the 20, digging for yardage to the 15-yard line. Finally, Jeff Wright hung on and dropped Newhouse at the 15-yard line. Getting some help from Fred McNeil, the right linebacker, coming back to help out. A gain of 12 yards by Robert Newhouse and a first down for the Dallas Cowboys at the Minnesota 15. Newhouse has carried 11 times for 61 yards now.
Well, the last 5 yards, he just took Jeff Wright, along with Jeff Seaman, the final 5 with him, all on his own, Robert Newhouse. And it's another Cowboy first down.
Wide right, Drew Pearson. Dorsett comes back. They split behind Staubach now. Wing on the left side. Staubach for the first down at the 15. Gives inside to Newhouse again. Gets a couple of 3 more tough yards to around the 12-yard line before he is wrapped up and driven back. It'll be a gain of about 3. Doug Sutherland, I should say, the defensive left tackle for Minnesota, dropped him at about the 12-yard line. 2nd down and 7 now for Dallas at the Minnesota 12. Butch Johnson comes into the Dallas lineup, and he will replace Drew Pearson. We have 4:58 to play in this fourth quarter. 16-6, Dallas over Minnesota in the NFC Championship game. Double tight end set. Butch Johnson wide to the left side. They shift into the eye behind Staubach. 2nd down and 7 at the Viking 12. The pitch goes to Dorsett, comes to the right side. Hit at the 11 and dropped at the 11-yard line. Jeff Seaman, the middle linebacker, coming over to help out with Nate Wright on the stop. A gain of only 1, and Doug Sutherland again was there to help out on the stop. A gain of only 1, 3rd down and 6 at the 11-yard line of Minnesota.
Okay, it comes down to this final play for the Minnesota defense now. If they can shut off Dallas and limit them to just a field goal, that makes it 19-6. And still, the Vikings with 2 touchdowns could win. If the Cowboys go on and get 7, forget it. Make your reservations with your local travel agent. We'll see you in New Orleans.
On 3rd down conversions, Dallas 4 out of 10. They come out, slot left. Tony Hill wide right. Drew Pearson wide to the left. Richards in the left slot. And a timeout is called by Dallas. Apparently, a bit of confusion on what they wanted to call in that situation with 3:59 to play. And they use up a timeout. With a 3rd down and 6 at the 11-yard line of Minnesota, and Staubach wants to talk it over with Don Landry.
I think Roger just went over to make sure, see how many Super Bowl tickets he could get. He wanted to be the first one in line. 3:59 to go in regulation. The Cowboys lead it by 10. Again, if the Dallas team can only come up with the 3 points, Minnesota with 2 touchdowns could, if you believe in miracles, still do it. Of course, on the other hand, if the Cowboys punch it in for a touchdown, it's all over but the final score. Don't forget, tomorrow here on CBS Radio, we've got the Cotton Bowl, the top-ranked Texas Longhorns, going up against the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. Tom Hendrick and Connie Alexander will be Mike Side over CBS Radio, bring you all the play-by-play action. And, of course, Bob Starr is alongside right here. Robert, while we have an opportunity, I think you've called an outstanding NFC Championship game, and I've enjoyed working this game with you.
Well, I appreciate that very much, and I appreciate your work. Jim, we've had a good ball game to work. It's been kind of a push and shoving match here in the second half, and I don't think the kind of game either one of us expected, but I recall the other night at the press conference for the two coaches, both sort of predicted a rather low-scoring game, and they have both been proved right here so far. 16-6, a 10-point difference, and Dallas holding on to that 10-point edge and a chance to get some more here, but both Tom Landry and Bud Grant expected not a great deal of scoring.
Ironic in a way that Minnesota, that played a completely error-free ball game against the L.A. Rams to get into this championship game, Minnesota's mistakes have kept them out of this game.
They go to the shotgun on 3rd and 6 at the Minnesota 11. Staubach, as the tailback takes and gives off inside to Dorsett, coming around to the right to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown! Tony Dorsett. The only time today they have run out of the shotgun. They gave off on the inside to Dorsett, coming around. An old single wing type of play, and Dorsett carried it in for 11 yards and the touchdown with 3:54 to play in this ball game.
Well, it took him 5 games before he earned a start, but Tony Dorsett rushed, as we've told you throughout the broadcast, for over 1,000 yards. The Cowboys, they went five plays, 34 yards, and Dorsett carried it in for the final few. Touchdown Dallas, Herrera on the extra point.
Snap back, the ball down, the kick up by Efren Herrera, and it is good. With 3:54 to play in this game, Dallas now out in front 23-6 over the Minnesota Vikings.
Enjoying the game? Well, I'm sure you are if you've been listening to Bob Starr throughout the game. Remember that CBS Radio Sports brings you live coverage of the top sporting events of the year throughout all of 1978, beginning with the Super Bowl in 2 weeks on January the 15th. It'll be the Denver Broncos, the way it looks right now, up against the Dallas Cowboys. Then the Ollie Spinks fight on February the 15th with Win Elliott and Don Dunphy ringside. I'll be at Augusta to bring you the Masters Golf Tournament in April. Then Win is back with a Triple Crown of Racing in May and June. The All-Star Game in July. The U.S. Open Tennis Championships. The American and National League Baseball playoff games. And, of course, the World Series. That's live coverage, and it's all from CBS Radio Sports over most of these CBS Radio network stations.
How do I get that assignment for the Masters Golf Tournament?
I don't have a green jacket. They would clash with your tie.
I'll promise not to bring my clubs.
I'll tell you what. If you can get Bob Hyland to spring for your airfare, you don't do anything that time of year anyway, do you? I mean, Lou Brock is he's already stole how many bases now?
A little pitch and catch in the National League is about all.
That's all. How does baseball Cardinals look?
Very good, I think. Made some good deals. We'll find out in a few weeks and get some things started. And hopefully they will challenge for a National League championship. Manfred Moore back in the middle to return. Efren Herrera set to kick off for the Dallas Cowboys. 3:54 to play in the game. 23-6 Dallas. A low sailing kick down toward the wedge. Goes all the way back to Moore. Picks it up. Fumbles it at the 12. Picks it up. Comes back to the right side of the 15. Needs some help. Cuts back to the 20. Hit at the 19. And that's as far as he could go. He wanted to try to get back into the middle behind a wedge. Mike Hegman came down to wrap him up, making the first hit. 7-yard return. And a Minnesota Viking player is shaken up on the far side.
Robert Miller.
He was back in the return setup along with Manfred Moore and Sammy White. The ball will be at the 20-yard line. First down for Minnesota. Trailing now by 17 points in this NFC Championship game, and many of the Dallas Partisans have started to head for home on this New Year's Day. What a super matchup tomorrow in college football and the Cotton Bowl on CBS. Notre Dame and the University of Texas.
They're not heading home. They're all heading over to the Cotton Bowl to get there early.
Not when it's 28 degrees outside. I don't think they're going to get there that early. It has been chilly here in Dallas, and obviously not as cold down on the field as if the stadium were wide open, but it has been very, very chilly indeed. It was 20 degrees at kickoff out in Denver today when the Oakland Raiders and the Broncos played, and I'm sure it was less than that by the time the game was over. Denver has won the American Conference Championship, and they'll play the winner of this one in the Super Bowl. Back to throw goes Bob Lee from his own 20. Sets and fires up over the middle, and it is incomplete. Intended for Bob Graham. Mark Washington trying to get a hand on it. Could not. The pressure coming from both sides of the defensive rush put up by Dallas. It'll be 2nd down and 10 for the Vikings on their own 20.
And that was simply a desperation release by Bob Lee. He actually was closer to completing the pass to a Dallas Cowboy defender than he was to his intended receiver, but as Bob called it, the rush was definitely on, and he just wanted to unload the pigskin quickly. Dallas doomsday defense. Cannot say enough about it. Again now, as we're approaching the end of the ball game, if you count 4 quarters here today, and the fact that the Vikings have scored only 6 points, you take into consideration the 7 points the Bears put on the board, the Broncos 6 before that, 19 points in 12 quarters going into the Super Bowl.
Lee back to throw again, screens it out to the right to Foreman, and he dropped the ball. He was trying to turn it upfield. He had a little bit of running room and trying to look and see who was coming up to hit him and maintain possession at the same time. He lost control, dropped the ball, incomplete pass, and it's 3rd and 10 for Minnesota on their own 20-yard line.
Those are the kind of catches that you make when you're not down by 17 points in the other guy's ballpark. So it brings up 3rd down and 10 with the Vikings on the short end, 23-6. The Minnesota Vikings have never lost in an NFC Championship game. They are 4-0 going in. Their Super Bowl record is 0-4.
They have Bob Grimm going out wide to the left side. Passing situation again, obviously, with 3 minutes and 33 seconds to play in this game. Back to throw is Bob Lee. Sets and looks up to the left side. Throws for Foreman. Complete and out of bounds he goes. Up around the 29-yard line. And he will be short of a first down by a yard. The line of scrimmage having been the 20-yard line. He got a 9-yard reception from Bob Lee. Tom Williams, our statistician for the day, tells me, Jim, that they've been lined up since Friday night here at Texas Stadium for tickets to the Super Bowl, and they don't go on sale until next Tuesday at 7 a.m.
They're not sleeping here, are they?
Well, he says they have cots and tents and everything set up out there. I guess if you're a rugged backpacker, you're going to handle this kind of weather.
Gotta be a great way to spend New Year's Eve. Huh?
4th and 1, Minnesota going for it. They give to Foreman, comes to the right, has the first down, hit at the 32. Ball pops out, but a whistle was blown, and the ball was blown dead at the 32, and Minnesota maintains possession as they got it out to the 32-yard line and a gain of about 3 yards on the play. But they'll get the first down. Bob Grimm comes back in for Minnesota at Moody Coliseum is where they're lining up for the tickets.
Are they lined up inside or outside? I'd rather be lined up inside.
Bob Grimm goes out of the Viking huddle wide to the left, Rashad to the right. Sammy White's in the left slot. Foreman is out of there. Sammy Johnson and Mike Keller run. Back to throw is Lee. Wings it out to the right there to Rashad. He slips and goes down at about the 36-yard line as Benny Barnes came over to cover and make sure that he stayed down. A gain of about 4 yards. So around the 36-yard line of the Vikings. 2nd down and 6 for Minnesota. Time running up on the Vikings in this championship game in Irving, Texas at Texas Stadium with 2 minutes and 39 seconds and counting down. The Cowboys trying to work their way into the Super Bowl again on January 15th against the American Conference champion Denver Broncos. Slap left. Lee back to throw on 2nd and 6. Out to the left side. Intercepted. Out of bounds. Tom Henderson, linebacker, making the interception and out of bounds at about the 41-yard line of the Minnesota Vikings.
And that'll just about do it with 2 minutes and 23 seconds left to go in regulation time. The Cowboys on top by 17. It's 23-6. And for the Minnesota Vikings until next year, in all probability, the last hurrah. Henderson just simply stepped in front of Rashad, right in front of the Cowboy bench. And with that, you saw blue and silver towels going up into the air from the Cowboys side. First down, 10 yards to go. Staubach brings them out at the Minnesota 41.
He has Drew Pearson wide right. Back split, wing on the left side. First down at the 41 of Minnesota. Staubach gives inside to Newhouse. Inside the 40, spins to the outside at the 35, on his feet at the 30, and down to the 27-yard line goes Robert Newhouse. Paul Krause finally wrapped him up at about the 27-yard line. 14-yard pickup, and most of it on his own as he broke past the line of scrimmage, then shook tacklers to get down to the 27. First down for Dallas. Tom Hannon, a rookie out of Michigan State, comes into the defensive secondary, replaces Paul Krause as the strong safety. Newhouse has now gained 78 yards from scrimmage and 13 carries for the Dallas Club. The ball just shy of the 26-yard line of the Minnesota Vikings with 2 minutes to play as we're down to the 2-minute warning. Dorsett has carried 19 times for 72 yards for the Cowboys this afternoon. They're announcing the Super Bowl tickets going on sale at 7 a.m. on Tuesday at Moody Coliseum at the Southern Methodist University campus. 2 minutes to play in this game. Cowboys out in front of Minnesota 23-6. It was a scoreless third period. 16-6 at halftime as Dallas got a field goal just before the half to take in a 16-6 halftime lead. And they pushed each other around in the third quarter. Couldn't get too much done. But Dallas coming up with a touchdown here late in the fourth quarter. And pretty much putting it out of reach, Jim Kelly.
Robert, I'll offer to you a question. Your offensive and defensive players of the game.
Oh, I don't know. I guess I would have to go maybe with Ed Jones as one of the defensive standouts. He's played himself a heck of a ball game along with the defensive front.
And maybe Dorsett is the offensive player?
Dorsett, I suppose, or Starbuck. Newhouse, 78 yards. Dorsett with 72. They're offset strong left, double tight end set for the Cowboys at the 26 of Minnesota. The give to Newhouse, flash to the left side, breaks a tackle, gets to the 21-yard line, sliding over the left side. Dropped by Tom Hannon, the strong safety coming up, along with Scott Studwell, the rookie linebacker out of Illinois. He'll replace Jeff Seaman in there. It's a gain of about 5. Second down and 5.
Clock winding down now. We've got 1:40 to play. The Vikings have 3 of their timeouts left.
Staubach brings it up. He has Butch Johnson going wide to the right side. Saldi is the tight end on the right, Dupree tight on the left side. They shift into the eye behind Rogers. Second down and 5 at the Minnesota 21. Staubach gives to Newhouse. Comes to the right side inside the 20. Spins down to around the 17-yard line. Wally Hilgenberg got a piece of him. He spun off that and fell down to about the 17-yard line. They'll mark it at the 18, leaving Dallas with a third down and close to 2 yards. Not quite a complete 2 yards to go for the first down. Third and about 1.5 yards, we'll call it.
Bob, as you think back, is there a play that you feel stands out that maybe turned the game around or set the tempo for the game?
Not really. I guess just in a quick recall I can. I probably could a little bit later. The punting game, I'm sure, had much to do with it. They kicked back and forth a number of times in that third and in the fourth quarter. Mistakes, I suppose, more than anything. On the part of Minnesota, Newhouse takes the give, comes inside the left side, and goes to about the 14-yard line before he is stopped. Mark Mullaney, the defensive right end, in on the stop. The clock continues to run down to 30 seconds to play in this game. And Dallas on their way to New Orleans for a January 15th meeting against the Denver Broncos. And the fans here in Dallas, as you can tell, feel the fever of getting into that Super Bowl one more time against the American Conference champion Denver Broncos. The clock continues to count down. A penalty on the play.
Dallas has just rushed in and asked for a timeout.
No, there is no penalty. I saw them all move back. Now there's a timeout call by Dallas with 13 seconds to play.
And I think this will, Ralph Neely is coming back out. This is, of course, his final season. He's already announced his retirement at the end of the current season. And it looks like it'll finish up in New Orleans. Tony Dorsett. And they're all congratulating. This is it. That's why they called the timeout for Ralph Neely, so he could go off and get a well-deserved standing ovation. The veteran offensive lineman of the Dallas Cowboys.
Neely with 13 years out of the University of Oklahoma. 13 seconds to play, and a rematch coming up on January 15th between the Dallas Cowboys and the Denver Broncos. Dallas won the first one. They played here in Dallas. A low-scoring game. Roger Staubach takes the snap, goes to his knees at the 15-yard line, or the 11-yard line. And time is running out. Both benches clear. The Cowboys come out to congratulate everyone. That's the end of the game with the final score. The Cowboys 23 and the Minnesota Vikings 6.